Good morning. The future belongs to those who learn more skills and combine them in creative ways. The Learning Skills Development Program wing of our own high school strongly believes in crafting 21st century learners. The first edition of Inspire was successfully launched online on 28 December 2019 by our senior batch of 2021. The brand ambassadors of this unique learning program have extended opportunities for all those who are inspired and wish to inspire. With immense sense of pride, we bring before you the second edition of our flagship event, Inspire 2021, and Novice, an innovative venture. On behalf of the senior leaders, staff, and students of our own high school, Dubai, a warm welcome to all present. Thank you for joining us today in our mission to inspire.
Each day that dawns holds a promise, the promise of hope. And it's up to us to rise and fulfill our dreams that lie latent in us. Inspire 2021 aims to motivate each one of you to make a difference. Together, we can make a change. My name is Chris Nyson, and here with me is Vansh Rijwani. Together, we extend a hearty welcome to all present. We assure you all that you're here for an extraordinary event of breathtaking ideas, creating inspiring stories, and technological innovations, crafting mind-boggling creations.
When it comes to building an incredible life, there is no limit to what you can do. The wings of self-belief is all you need, and nothing stops you from reaching your potential. This morning, it is all about outgrowing limitations and seeking horizons that you need to conquer. Inspire 2021 presents Breaking Barriers.
Before we flag off the events of the day, we request the audience to kindly rise for the UAE National Anthem, followed by the Indian National Anthem.
सिंध गुजरात मराठा
द्राविड उत्कल बंग
विंध्य हिमाचल
यमुना गंगा
उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे
तब शुभ आशीष मांगे
गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल गायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Please be seated. The Almighty is the light that guides our soul and sets it on the path of wisdom. We raise our hearts in gratitude to that omnipresent divinity, seeking His generous blessings on each one of us. We now have Muhammad Afnan to recite a surah from the Holy Quran, followed by a prayer song rendered by the school choir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار صدق الله العظيم.
Like a sunflower that follows every moment of the sun, so I turn towards you to follow you, my God. Like a sunflower that follows every moment of the sun, so I turn towards you to follow you, my God. In simplicity, charity, I follow. In simplicity, charity, I follow. Like a sunflower that follows every moment of the sun, so I turn towards you to follow you, my God. In simplicity, honesty, I follow. In simplicity, honesty, I follow. Like a sunflower that follows every moment of the sun, so I turn towards you to follow you, my God. So I turn towards you to follow you, my God. So I turn towards you to follow you, my God.
Thank you, singers, for your soulful rendition. Every drop of water adds to mighty oceans. Every thought leads to mighty actions, and every dream paves the way to mighty creations. What began in the year 2019 as a passionate personal sharing of inspiring stories of individuals, determined to make a difference in the lives of others, has further widened its prospects and purpose. From the ideas that inspired, Inspire 2021 has extended its opportunities to young minds to explore critical thinking, problem solving, and think innovatively.
Today's program endorses the theme of breaking barriers in 3 different platforms, which comprises expressions, where individuals share their unique stories, discussion forum, an opportunity for exchanging ideas and discovering possibilities, wherein participants research, analyze, and critically reflect on the lives of personalities who made a difference. Novus, where human intelligence walks in hand with technological breakthroughs for ultimate innovative creations. The theme for Novus this year is Artificial Intelligence in Our Daily World, because we believe that the best way to predict the future is to create it.
A trip down the memory lane is always endearing. We request the audience to join us on a virtual presentation of the dreams, goals, and mission of Team Inspire and Novus.
If you would have told me 2 years ago that there will be a platform where students become storytellers, a platform where they aren't bound by the walls of competition, rather gifted with the wings of freedom, I would have been astonished.
Your path to success will start with crossing small milestones. To me, the latent hunger to be the actor I am today started with these small milestones.
I remember looking in the mirror and just telling myself that I had to do something, I had to change something to get out of that.
We, from our own, believe that whatever talent we have, it's for the world, and therefore it's not to be bestowed or given only to the children of our own, but to the children of all the schools.
Inspire Our Own exists today because we do not want to stop dreaming. No one should ever be asked to stop dreaming, because it is through dreams we live 100 lives and think about 100 people.
It would have been, I would say, impossible for this event today, if not for the passion and perseverance of these young minds whom you can see on the screen.
Inspire last year was truly a mesmerizing event where participants shared stories on how they created themselves. The reach for this event was remarkable, and this is not just us saying it, the statistics says it all. On our Instagram page, we had over 3,000 profile visits, 14,000 raw impressions, and over 2,400 content interactions. Furthermore, on our YouTube channel, we had over 3,000 views, 7,000 content impressions, and over 600 hours of YouTube watch time. I'm certain that this time around, we will have an Inspire bigger and better than ever.
A very good morning to one and all present. My name is Daniel Thomas, and I am serving this year as the LSDP captain of our own high school. I'm here to talk about the LSDP's flagship event, Inspire 2021. Now, we can liken Inspire unto a daffodil that is in the wreath, that is the LSDP. A beautiful flower which blossoms each year more beautifully than the last. And Inspire at the very heart of the LSDP. Inspire is a platform for people to share their thoughts, their ideas, and most importantly, their stories. This year, we will be having the theme Breaking Barriers. Something that's worth discussing, especially considering the last 2 years. Now, we believe that whatever is being spoken by the participants today will certainly impact not only their fellow peers, but also adults, as the power of storytelling knows no age. So, ready up, because Inspire 2021 will truly be an event worth watching.
You cannot discover new oceans unless you have the courage to lose sight of the shore. André Gide.
Innovation has persistently pushed the boundaries to what the human race can achieve. Innovation does not require any prerequisites, as the human brain is capable of recognizing, addressing, and resolving world problems on its own. As proved by many young innovators such as Shubham Banerjee, founder of Brago Labs and the Brago, a braille printer that enables the blind to read. He invented this at the tender age of 14, and thus, age, manifestly, does not play a factor in one's ability to innovate. The world today faces innumerable predicaments, and the gravity of the situation can be gauged from the impacts of climate change in different parts of the globe, an ever-increasing need for solutions to an equally mounting population amongst the current dynamics of the COVID-19 pandemic. Who better to address the future than the citizens of the future themselves? Humans have long been obsessed with creating artificial intelligence, ever since Alan Turing first posed the question, can machines think? In the year 1950. Now, it appears the answer is moving towards yes. AI is poised to have a profound impact on our lives, and it's everywhere.
We at our own high school Al Warqa'a recognize this fact and have created a platform wherein students collaborate in teams of 4 to critically analyze and present applicable solutions to the dilemmas the world faces today under this year's theme, AI in our daily world. As Albert Einstein once said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. And on that note, our own high school cordially welcomes you to Novus.
Inspire 2021 is the fruit of persistent efforts of creative minds. We are grateful to one and all who are here to join us in this enriching journey. Team Inspire in Novus owes its gratitude to our Executive Principal, Mr. Sanjeev Jolly, Principal Dr. Anjali Murthy, and the senior leaders for extending this opportunity to us to host the event on site, braving the challenges and uncertainties on the path. On this note, we invite our Principal, Dr. Anjali Murthy, to felicitate the gathering on this momentous day. Please, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. We are really happy that we were able to see you on campus. This event was scheduled for the 6th of January, but as has been the case over the last 2 years, everything is uncertain. And we were on the verge of holding this event online, but we decided let's wait, let's see what Dubai tells us, and we are really delighted that young students and our special guests are here with us today. A big thank you to each and every one of you. As the children have shared in this short presentation, Inspire has been the brainchild of a group of students of the school. When they came to us in May and said that they want to conduct Inspire once again, and the theme is going to be breaking barriers, I remember Miss Bindu, who is coordinating and leading the children, and myself, we just looked at each other and we said, wow. It's such a wide canvas, and each one of you will be able to share so many different stories with us. What is breaking barriers? You know, around the world, we keep hearing about people who have broken barriers because the world is full of societal norms, pressures from within the family, discrimination, whether it is racial, gender, age, color, whatever it might be. And that is something which we have been hearing, and we've been celebrating people who have broken barriers. So numerous names come to our minds, and I'm not going to take them today, but they are remembered and their names are in history books and their case studies, and we talk about them all the time. But I personally believe that every individual breaks barriers many times in their lives. And the heroes are around us, as Dr. Zeenat just said when we were talking. And I remember something which has stayed on in my memory for a very long time. There was this young teacher, just about 30 years old. And for those who are sitting here and 15 and 16 might think 30 is not young, but at my age, 30 is pretty young. So this young teacher went up on stage and spoke at the grade 12 farewell. There was an audience of about 300 comprising of the graduating batch, their students and the faculty from the school. She spoke for about maybe 10 to 12 minutes, and her words were so powerful, and the way she spoke, I think on that particular evening, there was not a single person who didn't have a tear in their eye. I didn't know this teacher before she went up and spoke. So after the event, I went and I spoke to her and I said, "That was mesmerizing, and you really touched us. And you were so powerful and you were wonderful. And what's the subject you teach in the school?" And she said, "I'm a biology teacher." And she had tears in her eyes. And I looked at her and I wondered, had I said something wrong? And she said, I just want to share with you, this is just my second time up on stage. I had a speech defect till the age of 16. And I just looked at her and I was just listening. She wanted to share. And she said, I was tongue-tied. Right till the age of 16, throughout my schooling days, I just could not speak, but there was nothing clinically wrong with me. I could speak at home, but I could not speak to strangers. To the extent that when a question was posed to me by the teacher, I could not answer. And that led to years of bullying in school and recommendations that I need to see a speech therapist, but there was nothing wrong with her speech. And years passed and she moved on, and then she found a teacher who told her, "Why don't you stand in front of a mirror and speak and record it?" And she started doing that, and she started hearing her own voice, and she started feeling better. And she was able to talk to guests who came home, but she still could not speak in the classroom. The same teacher guided her and said, "Go out in the park and speak. You don't know anyone around there, so whatever you're saying, either they'll listen or they'll move away." And she started doing that, speaking in the park. The third step was the same teacher guiding her, use a mic. Imagine you're on a stage and you're talking. And she said, that was the point which was a point of turnaround. I could speak in front of an audience. So she broke a barrier which was, no one could explain why she had it, but there was an instrument that showed her the path. There was this teacher who guided her, but she broke it herself. No one could do it for her. And this is something that stayed on in my mind, and I often speak about this to my students. And this biology teacher said, my mission now is whenever I go to a class, I try to reach out to those students who are not answering, because I don't know how many of them might be like me, not being able to speak to an audience. So young girls and young boys, we look forward to listening to you today. You are going to inspire us with your stories. And thank you to the teachers who have come in. Thank you to the principals who have sent you here. And I think what our students, when they created Inspire, they wanted to do was, this is a sharing, and therefore it's not a competition. For each and every one of you here is a winner. Thank you once again, and God bless all our young girls and boys who have joined us today.
Thank you, ma'am.
Before we unlock the events of the day, it is time to get introduced to our distinguished guests of honor. We are happy to introduce Mr. Sujit Koshi Varghese, banker by profession and an official fitness influencer for the Dubai Fitness Challenge. Mr. Sujit is passionate about speaking and has given a TEDx talk in GEMS New Millennium School, Dubai. Welcome, sir. Kindly accept a token of our appreciation. Our guest of honor, Ms. Johania Al-Mehri, will be with us soon. Ms. Mehri, the second Emirati woman to qualify in the Sheikh Zayed Air Navigation Center as an en route air traffic control officer, and the speaker for Women in Aviation, Middle East chapter. Ms. Johania is one of the 10 Emirati women in the world to take the role of an air traffic control officer. Welcome, ma'am. It is a privilege to have in our midst Dr. Zeenat Khan, the founding president and board member of the Center for Academic Integrity in the UAE. She was named among UAE's 10 most influential educational leaders and has been teaching in the Faculty of Engineering and Information Sciences at the University of Wollongong, Dubai since 2001. We are grateful to you, ma'am, for also kindly consenting to our request to moderate the forum. Welcome, ma'am. Kindly accept a token of our appreciation.
We take immense pride in introducing an eminent panel of judges who have kindly consented to be in our midst this morning to extend their valuable views and opinions on the innovative projects of the different competing schools for Novus 2021, an innovative venture of our own high school, Dubai. Dr. May El-Barachi, our judge, who will join us shortly, is an Associate Dean of Research, Head of Industry Outreach and Executive Learning at University of Wollongong in Dubai. A computer scientist and smart technology expert with degrees in telecom engineering, computer engineering, and computer science, Dr. Barachi possesses width and knowledge of knowledge in the areas of computer science, IT, and engineering. She will join us shortly. It's our privilege to introduce Mr. Fazeen Hasharaf, a passionate roboticist who loves to be at the pinnacle of innovation through research. His involvement in various events and professional organizations during his university years polished Mr. Fazeen's leadership skills and taught him the value of teamwork. An inquisitive roboticist who's always looking for novel and challenging opportunities that would remove the hardships of people. Thank you, sir, for joining us this morning. Kindly accept a token of our appreciation.
There's a song in every heart that longs for wings of freedom and expression. We now present before you the theme song that echoes the dream of every heart that aspires to break free from its inhibitions. The song is written and composed by our senior students, Daniel Thomas and Adil Sarjan.
Again afar, far from where I want to be. Hey, it's me, once again afar, far from where I want to be. I wonder, does it get any easier? I wonder, does it get any summit I can conquer, no depths I won't discover. I decide my barriers. There's no summit I can conquer, no depths I won't discover. I decide my barriers. I've tried and tried, but I've never crossed that line. Sometimes I wonder why struggle's worth it. I've tried and tried, but I've never crossed that line. Sometimes I wonder why struggle's worth it. I wonder, does it get any easier? I wonder, does it get any easier? There's no summit I can conquer, no depths I won't discover. I decide my barriers. There's no summit I can conquer, no depths I won't discover. I decide my barriers. Why, oh why, should I even try? Why, just why should I even try? Maybe I should, 'cause I could soar above the skies. Maybe I should, 'cause I could reach to the top. There's no summit I can conquer, no depths I won't discover. I decide my barriers. There's no summit I can conquer, no depths I won't discover. I decide my barriers. There's no summit I can conquer, no depths I won't discover. I decide my barriers. There's no summit I can conquer, no depths I won't discover. I decide my barriers. Breaking barriers and piercing dark skies. I just want to fly in the open skies. And at the end of the day, I wanna be the best me. And at the end of the day, I wanna be the best me.
Thank you, boys.
In the words of Hans Hofmann, every art expression is rooted fundamentally in the personality and temperament of the artist. Today, we are fortunate to have in our midst inspiring speakers who shall positively impact our minds with an artistic expression of their emotions, values, views, and experiences that have shaped their lives and defined their personality. Please note that as every speaker unfolds his or her distinct expressive creations, they shall support their views with a PowerPoint presentation compiled on their own for our viewing. Thank you.
Presenting phase one of expressions. We are now in the first phase of this exciting journey. Please welcome our first batch of speakers. First on stage, a proactive student with strong academic achievements and experience in leadership, chess, communication skills, Ashni Dhara has an avid interest in the aforementioned fields. Please welcome Ashni Dhara from our own English High School to share her inspiring story.
I hope everyone here is having a wonderful morning. To be or not to be. I like long walks along the beach. And by the beach, I mean from my couch to my fridge. I am Ashni Dhara, and I can make you anyone you want to be. Just say the word, because I am an artist, and the world is my canvas. I lay there, in the pit that I have created, with my bleeding heart, with my scarred self, with my soul, cold as ice, now shattered. But from the mounds and mounds of ashes, from the rumbling waves of the sea, I rise. Still, I rise. I had a dream once, a dream of a girl who turned into a bird and flew away. I tied my fantasy to a point in my life when all I wanted to do was transform into a bird and soar away. It was a state, my mental state. There was a time when I felt hopeless, completely untethered and unable to change. I was simply exhausted all the time. All-nighters became the norm, and sleep came with a sense of guilt. As you can see, I am a lot more than just flesh and bones. I am now a person who isn't afraid to be the first, to step out on my own, to take risks and seek change. But this didn't come as easy. I had to fight. I needed to break barriers. You know, there are voices in our heads, voices that tell us success isn't far away, that even our wildest dreams can be made a reality. I didn't just believe it, I chose to pursue it, and I did so through a number of steps. Step 1, gratitude for people, for circumstances, for opportunities, for everything. Step 2, resilience. The process of getting out of rock bottom took me every ounce of emotion. There will always be sweat and tears behind closed doors. But what matters is how we open those doors to sunshine. Step 3, pursue passion. My passion has always been art. It helped me draw or paint my pain away. Now, a confession. Fear still hits me sometimes, but the fear that I feel deep down isn't meant to cripple me, but to protect me. And when I learned how to harness that fear, it became my power. Finally, the question is to be or not to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashni.
Up next, we have a voracious reader from Delhi Private School, Sharjah, Umair Suleiman.
I have a confession to make. I am a yes person. Someone asks, "Hey, can you look after my younger brother this weekend?" To which I'd say, "Yeah, sure, what time?" Or, "Hey, can you complete all of my summer vacation projects?" And I know you've been wasting all your time playing video games, but still, I'd say, "Yeah, sure, no problem." No matter the request, my response to it all was an automatic yes. I've built up this behavior upon the morals that I've been taught growing up, that saying yes was an act of kindness and good manners. But after taking on more and more commitments, I really wasn't sure. This is the barrier that I would like to talk about today. My inability to say a simple two-letter word with a single syllable. The word no. In my quest to search for an answer to my predicament, I did what any Zoomer would. I went online. Sites from Power of Positivity to Huffington Post, all filled with articles guaranteeing that saying yes will change my life. According to Rhymes, losing yourself does not happen all at once. Losing yourself happens one no at a time. If that's the case, then I am so found. But I didn't feel that way. In my moment of despair, I turned towards my 9-year-old sister, who had no issues with saying the word no. At all. And I mean like ever. I'd watch from a distance and try to glean lessons. As my mother would shout at her to finish her food, she'd just let out a scream and say no. Or Safia, it's so late already. Can you go to bed? To which she just say no again. I watched in awe and found her deliberate contrariness rather inspiring. With this, I took up the simple practice of saying no in the shower, just to see how it would roll off the tongue. No, 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 no. I started implementing it in small situations around me, like saying no to searching for something that would take way too much time, or fixing my sister's Lego playhouse, which, full disclosure, I've probably fixed 1,000,000 times by now, but sorry, I got a little sidetracked. My apologies. After this, my nose started getting bigger, more tactile, if you will, and I quite possibly might have overcome my largest obstacle. I still remember this day so vividly. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon, and my mom had made dal chawal for lunch. Again, for the 5th time this week. How do you not lose it? I put on my imaginary battle suit and geared myself for war. I walked up to her and said, "No, Mom, I'm not having dal chawal again. I'm fed up." I closed my eyes, awaiting an almost reflexive slap. But nothing happened. Instead, we just ordered takeout, and that was it. This monster inside my head, who wouldn't let go, in that instant, just disappeared to nothingness. I learned that I needed to prioritize myself. And in doing so, I wasn't committing an act of selfishness, I was committing an act of self-care. Thank you.
Thank you, Umair. Your insightful words are bound to stay in our mind for an exceptionally long time. The good speakers are those who are vigorous, energetic, and that they can change the world with their speeches. Our next speaker is someone who aptly fits that description. I would like to call upon Breeklyn Hannah from the Millennium School, Dubai.
The most hated subject on planet Earth. Any guesses? Math. The utter detestations Homo sapiens have for this subject was weirdly amusing until it wasn't. Shakuntala Devi said, "Without mathematics, there's nothing you can do. Everything around you is mathematics. Everything around you is numbers." I would have been one of those zestful math lovers standing right at the front, vehemently preaching this quote, till I met my was meant to be Flash but ended up becoming a math teacher, new math teacher. My impeccable arithmetic performance faltered. If taking over Usain Bolt's title as fastest human alive wasn't enough, I'm assuming she wanted to pursue medicine as well, because her handwriting, normally beautiful, seemed to be that of pure gibberish while solving her sums on board. Math class was like watching a foreign movie without subtitles. And for the first time in my life, my report card was emblazoned by a B. The stigma was very evident and palpable. So I did what I did best, overthinking. I overthought and stressed and fretted and dwelled into profound melancholy about this, even thinking about how this would mean I'd never achieve anything in life. Everything for me is ruined. No one would want to talk to me. I'd never achieve my dreams, etc., etc. Looking back, I realize that my life, with God's grace, never had any prominent adversity. But I created them. I presumed despondency over minor issues that I ended up creating my own barriers. I was the one who told myself I couldn't do this. But reflecting upon this, I feel there can only be barriers when we concur to the world's methods of conspiring against us. If you fight back with a force even just 1 ounce greater than that of your barrier, the world will look gracefully upon you. The only way to do mathematics is to do it. Paul Halmos. And I did it. After being chastised by my mom, of course. Now I'm soaring high with no below 99 percentage marks in math. But really, it's not just math. The only way to break that barrier is to make an effort to surmount that obstacle. Because the world is brutal. It doesn't really sympathize with our plight. God helps only those who help themselves. And you won't realize how veracious that statement is till you try helping yourself. Also, don't blame your issues on others like I did with my math teacher. Learn to take responsibility for your own problems. Keep in mind that everything begins with you. If you want to achieve, you must help yourself. You must inspire yourself. And you must believe in yourself. Besides, mathematics gives us the hope that every problem has a solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Breeklyn. Up next, we have an orator who has been in the field of public speaking for the past 6 years. We welcome a student from our own family, Nitish Kumarasan from our own high school, Dubai.
Life isn't a straight road. Rather, it's a racetrack. Ultimately, it's our choice to keep accelerating or hit the brakes and stop. But at times, we feel deprived of self-esteem and motivation. We tend to develop this lethargic feeling towards work and we give up saying, I cannot do this. And most people leave the racetrack at this point. They do not strive for greater heights, nor do they challenge the odds. Isn't it worthwhile we step out of our comfort zone occasionally? As growth is essential. So let us break free of our inhibitions and limitations. Well, easier said than done. So let me take you through the mind of a 10-year-old. The school used to conduct these STEM sessions, most of you would remember those. And for those who don't, it was a platform for young minds to brainstorm and step into the wonderful world of robotics. Our 10-year-old signs up due to parental pressure. He isn't all that excited, but hopes to take something away from the course. And to his surprise, he was pretty good at it. He was your average chubby kid who sat at the most deserted spot of class, avoiding eye contact at all costs. Soon, he found solving these tiny technical problems both simple and rewarding. His creative side blossomed. Soon, he found meaning in peer interactions and gradually overcame his shyness. Like the petrol prices these days, his enthusiasm shot. A year passes, and a stronger and more confident version of him signs up for STEM. This time with a better outlook, of course. It's day 1 at STEM Labs, and he's already under the spotlight. He's now been named the leader of Group 2, with 7 members under his responsibility. Frightening, isn't it? Uncertainty looms large, yet he reluctantly takes up the role, urged by his peers and teachers, of course. Boys, keep quiet! Wasn't, after all, the best way to handle boys of his age. The initial struggles were difficult, but as time went on, as it rolled by, simple conversations with his teammate led to in-depth discussions, which in turn helped him strike a rapport with them and truly understand how they worked and functioned. 4 weeks later, he was transformed from a shy teenager to a bold individual. Critics were less of a concern. He remained calm and composed and guided his team throughout the course. This year's STEM journey was wonderful. Soon he was enthusiastic to learn, passionate to grow and interact with others. As citizens of the future generation, we must facilitate our creativity and endurance. My science teacher a few years back never answered when we asked, "Ma'am, is this coming? Is this important? Should we learn this?" And funnily enough, life is quite like Hiba, Ma'am. It would never really tell you the problems that arise. It always expects you to be prepared for whatever it throws at you. Life presents numerous challenges to people of all kinds and races. But we must fight adversity with grit and courage. Be resilient in times of hardship. Accept failure as an experience and build anew. I leave you all with one simple thought. How long is your now? How long will this glorious moment last? How much longer will we be suppressed by the sedative of not creating wonders? When do we achieve greatness and break the barriers before us. The time is now. Thank you.
Thank you, Nidish. We are all greatly inspired by how you have overcome the challenging moments in your life.
Dear Daniel from Leaders Private School, Sharjah, is an optimist who likes to live by looking at the brighter side of life. Her simple philosophy of life is, a smile is a curve that sets everything straight. It's time to listen to Diya.
One word, one phrase, one sentence. That's all it takes to make it or break it. Communication is the most substantial skill to have, in my opinion. It can open doors or close them. It can create a relationship or break one. It can make your life or derail it. The ratio between them depends on your communication skill. Good morning, everyone. My name is Diya Dan from Leaders Private School, and today I want to talk about the biggest barriers I have broken: communication. Some people who begin self-improvement don't realize just how badly they need that change. I was just like that. I didn't even know that I started improving myself. I lived 13 and a half years of my life with a neutral relationship with public speaking and communication in general. I dabbled a little bit, but that was about it. I didn't talk much either. It was only after my friend recommended that I join her for a meeting of a public speaking club did the doors to my personality open just a crack. I really enjoyed that meeting. I sat there in awe, listening to students speaking confidently, and I was also called onto stage to give an impromptu speech as part of the segment. Surprisingly, I spoke decently well, and as I sat back in my chair, I just thought, what was that? Did I actually just go up in front of all these people and speak? Whoa! The atmosphere was so different from anything I was used to, and the approach to speaking on a stage was extremely new as well. But I liked it, so I joined. I guess the fact that I won a small prize that helped as well. The following 2 years were the most eventful years of my life. I joined the student council twice, I took up meeting roles, and eventually took up leadership roles for special events. I learned how to be on stage without panicking too much. But most importantly, I interacted with a lot of different types of people. I learned how to talk in a professional manner and how to be open and friendly in my casual conversations. I'm sure there were other factors at play, but I experienced a wild set of differences in my personality. I kind of grew up and grew down. I stood straighter, talked louder, and shook hands more firmly, but also smiled wider, laughed louder, and joked more often. My relationships with my friends and family became more open. I was even able to talk to people I had just met and make friendships with them. But one of the most important things was that I got a new hobby. I didn't know it back then, but now I can confidently say that public speaking is one of my top interests, even if it's only been 2 years since I started to take it seriously. Until the day your communication hurdle exists, the world will never know your talents and ideas. I was a little slow to start, but I'll be keeping up the communication from now on. Thank you.
Thank you, Diya. That was optimism loaded. Diving into the world of speaking can always be challenging at first, but soon enough, the stage becomes a part of us. Our next speaker is someone who feels the same. Without further ado, I would like to call upon Joel Sunil from our own English High School, Sharjah Boys.
Success is no reason to be overconfident, and failure no reason to quit, as rightly quoted by Winston Churchill. A very good morning to one and all present here. Smooth seas don't make skillful sailors, but how many of us actually have the courage to face the rough seas? Breaking barriers. This is undoubtedly a multi-dimensional topic because barriers mean different things to different people. In my case, breaking barriers meant coming out of the shell that I had fitted myself into. A personal struggle that I faced in my life that influenced who I am today. To give you a glimpse of my situation, imagine a young boy who feared to face the stage. The glaring spotlights, Someone who'd feel strangely uncomfortable in his clothes and sweat profusely on stage. His words, in spite of rigorous practice, failed to fall out from his mouth. And the result? A laughing crowd and a speaker left in shambles and a sorry state of helplessness. This was the then me. Simply an extreme case of shyness. The effects were adverse. I refused to participate in events no matter how much my teachers and parents pushed me to. I distanced myself from the people around me and unsurprisingly made very little friends. Just because I was afraid. Afraid of what people would think about me. Afraid that they would laugh at me. It is said that beyond every cloud there is a rainbow. And to me, that rainbow came in the form of my teacher, who noticed the potential in me. Quizzing, it was. Without my knowledge, she signed me up for an inter-school competition from which I had no escape. And believe it or not, out of 38 participating schools, we came in second and thus dashed through the finals. This indeed helped me regain my confidence. And I thought to myself, this isn't so bad after all. It's not as nerve-wracking as I thought it would be, and I'm actually enjoying it. That was the point I realized my mistake. I had been hiding, when in fact, I should have been grabbing all the opportunities that came my way. Once this realization hit, I decided I needed to change. I began participating in more and more events and made a lot of friends. And here I am today, standing in front of you. So happy to tell you that I am definitely not shaking with fear, and yes, I remember every word that I came all this way to tell you. I'd like to conclude by saying this. It does not matter what other people think about you. All that matters is you grab every opportunity that comes your way, and that will definitely enable you to enjoy your life to its fullest. Thank you.
It is an honor and privilege to acknowledge the presence of Ms. Jahania Almieri. We are happy to have you with us this morning. Ms. Almieri is the second Emirati woman to qualify in the Sheikh Zayed Air Navigation Center as an en route air traffic control officer, and the speaker for Women in Aviation, Middle East chapter. Ms. Jahania is one of the 10 Emirati women in the world to take the role of an air traffic control officer. Welcome, ma'am. Kindly accept a token of our appreciation.
It's our privilege, ma'am. Thank you for being with us today.
A mind-blowing story, Joel. Truly a masterpiece. Thank you. Next on stage, we have Zaima Jinan, a speaker whose thoughts express her strong perspectives. Welcome, Zaima.
Ted Cruz once said, "We should be breaking down barriers, not building walls." A very good morning to one and all present here. I, Zaima Jinan, am going to take you all along with me to the past, about 4 years back. I was like in the 5th grade and I went through this specific stage in life. I feel like everybody has gone through this stage, but at least I have, and it was about my career. This is such a question that I would repeatedly ask myself because from what I remember, each and every teacher who was new to the class would ask my classmates and I what our ambition was. And I can't really blame them because who wouldn't want to know, right? So I was always confused on who I wanted to be when I grow up. And the funny part is, I'm still confused. So anyways, at the time, I wanted to be a marine biologist. And I still have that interest. If you don't believe me, just go ask my friends. And I was so different from the other kids in my class because meanwhile, like when they're watching cartoons or Mr. Beast and other YouTubers, I would be watching documentaries on marine life in my own little bedroom. So yeah, I was a weird kid. So then, like, out of all the fishes and creatures out there in those clear and deep waters, I was fascinated by sharks. Yes, you heard right, sharks. And the reason being is like, and then starting, I didn't know like why I was so fascinated, and I was thinking, oh, this is so scary and stuff, right? And then, like, they're so fascinating, and I don't know why, but I just find them so fascinating that I wouldn't go near them. Well, that was not entirely true because I do want to touch at least one shark in my lifetime. So one day I was surfing through the web, and I had come across an experiment conducted by a marine biologist. And yes, it did involve a shark. And so what this marine biologist did was she placed a shark in a huge tank and then released small little bait fish into the tank. So obviously the shark saw them and ate them, lunged forward and ate them. Later, the marine biologist inserted a strong piece of fiberglass, creating two partitions. And then she put the shark on one side of the tank and then the bait fish on the other. So the shark saw the bait fish and immediately lunged forward to attack, but hit the glass instead and bounced off. It repeated the behavior for a few minutes. So while the shark is banging on the glass, trying to get to the other side, this bait fish are swimming completely free of any harm and are enjoying life, unlike the last batch. So this experiment was conducted for a few weeks, and the shark gradually got less aggressive and made fewer attempts to attack the fish. But at last, the shark gave up. The marine biologist removed the fiberglass divider, but the shark didn't move an inch. The shark was trained to believe that a barrier was existing between it and the bait fish. So with this, the bait fish just swam near the shark, completely free of any harm. So when I read this, there were ongoing thoughts in my mind. One is that those bait fish must be so grateful to be alive. But I thought to myself, when we are trying to break an emotional or physical barrier and we fail miserably, we just give up. In simple words, we lose hope. For instance, the shark gave up because it couldn't do anything about it. It had to just adapt to the situation. But we're not sharks, right? Last time I checked, we weren't. We're human beings. Human beings are the only creatures on this planet who can change the situation they're in. We'll try to find ways to alter the situation and get rid of that emotional barrier that is preventing us from getting what we truly want. So now let's travel back to the present. I heard that if you stay in the past for too long, it can cause defects. Nonetheless, I would like to conclude my speech by saying that we must never give up fighting for what we truly want. And having souls filled with patience and hope will be needed in a world like ours. Thank you all very much for listening and hope you have a good day.
Thank you, Zaima. Next up on stage, we have Merelda Simos from GEMS Our Own English High School, Dubai. Through this platform, she intends to share her experiences of how she challenged the obstacles on her path and overcame them. Welcome, Merelda.
Let me start by asking a question. Have you ever broken a barrier? And not the ones placed by your parents regarding going out at night or spending too much time online. I'm talking about the barriers that stop you from becoming the best version of yourself. Have you? Greetings to one all present here. When I first heard about this topic, I thought to myself, what barrier could I have possibly broken? When I haven't even broken a single rule. Yes, a single rule my whole school life. I walk in a line, say my good mornings, and even wear the correct uniform every single day. The more I thought about it, the more I began to realize that it was never about the visible barriers. It was about me, about you, what we went through and the changes we bring to ourselves. You see, growing up as a chubby child of the house wasn't always a pleasant experience. It made you stand out, more than you pleased to. And standing out is good, sure, but not in this case. It pained to hear people talk about my weight. What added more to my ordeal was that I have a twin, a person who looks exactly like me. And when there's two similar entities, there's always comparison. And so was it. Every single day, every single test, and every single feature now felt like a competition. A competition that neither of us want to be a part of. Our marks were compared, our skills were compared, and even the strands of our hair. Fortunately, with each passing year, I was able to break through those barriers of self-consciousness and progress. Yes, progress to be a better version of myself. Sharing some techniques that helped. First, shrug away negativity. I know this sounds easier said than done, but if you really want to get over those barriers of self-consciousness, start by shrugging away negativity instead of accepting it. Second, accept yourself. Accept yourself wholeheartedly. Believe you're worthwhile. And last but not the least, abandon those imaginary audience out there ready to pick or judge every mistake of yours. People have better things to do than ruminate over your flaws. Last but not the least, as cheesy as it sounds, the world is a mirror, and it's based on you, how you view yourself. So cherish yourself every day, because in the end, what really matters is you. Thank you.
Thank you, Merelda. Our final speaker for this segment loves to be a perfectionist and never forgets to make sure that her words make an impact on every listener. I would like to call up on the stage Leah Murali from our own English High School, Sharjah.
Good day, everyone. I stand before you today to recount an instance in which I was harshly forced to accept the existence of a barrier. In November, a group of students in my school were tasked with creating and performing a mime as part of the National Day celebrations. Once informed of this task, we proceeded to inquire how much time we had for it. Let's just say that many classes were missed that week. Our team put together a mime that showcased life in the UAE 50 years prior, in the present, and what life might look like 50 years into the future. Our mime was an overwhelming success. After the program at school, the team disbanded, assuming in blissful ignorance that we'd performed for the last time. Unbeknownst to us, the universe had other plans. Or rather, SPIA had other plans. The Sharjah Private Education Authority delegates were extremely impressed by our mime. The team was gathered once more and informed that we had been given the opportunity to perform at the first ever Sharjah Events Festival, held at the Al Majas Amphitheater. Firstly, we did not know that Al Majas had an amphitheater. Secondly, what? We were all hyped. The weekend couldn't come by soon enough, and it was time once again to pull out the white face paint. In the midst of performing for the mobile crowd at the event, I got a revelation. Here I was, an Indian, in an event celebrating the culture of the UAE, performing a mime dedicated to showcasing its development. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is the barrier here? The barrier is one our group unknowingly contributed to breaking. This barrier is probably one you're all familiar with. It's one that immigrant children raised in another country can relate to. It is the barrier we come face to face with when appreciating a country or a culture that isn't our own. Is it okay for a group of children who aren't Emirati to take part in something so deeply appreciative of the UAE? And even if they could, would it even have a valuable impact? These questions and the barrier they imposed is the one my friends and I broke. By working hard to showcase the developments and the culture of the UAE, and by our work being recognized and appreciated,
We have proven that you needn't be someone who hails from a certain country to be able to appreciate it. Of course, this barrier isn't one that you overcome just once, and as such, it's not one anyone can take complete credit for. However, if there's one thing you can take away from my experience, it's that this barrier must always be challenged, and you must always strive to show your love for this country. It doesn't matter where you're from. If your feelings are true and your efforts genuine, you will be rewarded. Thank you.
That was truly an influencing share. Thank you. We are deeply honored to have with us Mr. Shridhar Kosi Varghese, an epitome of resilience and determination. Sir, we eagerly wait to hear the invaluable stories of your life's experience and about the barriers you broke to rise above the challenges.
Firstly, big thank you. It's an absolute honor actually to be here today at this event of yours. When I first heard about this event, Inspire, there was a quote that ran in my mind: be the light to inspire others to dream. I want to thank, firstly, the GEMS, our own high school, for inviting me, Ms. Bindu ma'am, the entire staff, and all you students for having me here today. It's an absolute honor. Thank you so much. Many of you students came and spoke a while earlier. I was listening to your stories. It was very impactful, and many more are going to be coming on this stage. And I truly hope that you light that spark here today. So speaking in schools have been my favorite audience from all where I go, because it has been one of the best memories of my life, best phases of my life. It's because that's where you create unforgettable memories, and you create something what you believe to be unbreakable bonds of friendship. So students, make the most of it while you're here. It is a phase where you learn a lot, where you're molded into something. So it's very important at this phase for you to build your mindset, you to grow your mindset. When I was invited to talk here today, I wanted to give you something that you probably would want, you probably would need, and what I wanted to tell you that could be useful for you at some point of your life. So I wanted to share that through my story, which might just inspire you. So throughout my life so far, I've been through so many experiences in different places with different people. I'm born and raised here in the UAE. And in school, I was a very popular kid. I was in the basketball team. I was the sports captain of my school. I was in the debate team. I was very active in sports. And then after my schooling, I moved to Bangalore to pursue my bachelor's in commerce in Jain University. In Bangalore, I fell in love with bike racing. I used to race a lot, and I was in a boxing academy. I loved boxing. Boxing had transformed my life. I was very disciplined. I was very much into the sport. So this is me at 20 years of age, feeling I'm at the peak of my life, feeling I'm untouchable physically, and I was at the best shape of my life. I was strong. I was confident. I was on the I was on my adrenaline. I was at the roof of it, bike racing. It was great. Until one day I crashed my bike and I found myself in a ventilator. The first time I woke up was 4 days after the accident. I was unconscious for 4 days. And when I woke up, I found myself in an ICU. And I was barely able to move, barely able to talk. After 2 weeks in the ICU, I was moved to the ward. And a lot of people came to visit me at that time. So many friends, families, some people I knew, some people I didn't even know, so many people, and all asking me like, Sujit, what happened? How did it happen? When did it happen? And I had no answers for this. I have zero memory till date of what happened that night. I underwent a 12-hour surgery for 18 fractures suffered on my skull, 3 ribs broken, 1 piercing my lung, and my spinal cord injured at my chest level. The doctors came to the room and told my parents 3 things. Number 1, your son will never see from his right eye again because one of the bone had pierced my eye and he said he's going to be blind. Number second, he's going to have a very weak memory for the rest of his life. And number third, he's never going to walk again because he's paralyzed below his chest completely. Guys, you know, when you grow up, right, when you're growing up at this phase of your life before you turn into this whole adult phase and you know you're making money, believe this, everything is taken care of. Because if you have a problem, your parents are there to help you out, right? If you have something, you need something, you want to buy something, your parents give you money, you're taken care of. In school, maybe you're not doing so good in academics, your teachers are there to support you and help you. Your friends are there to support and help you for something else. So there's always support from different angles and sides. So it was for me as well. While growing up, I did have all that support. I didn't go through any hardship that was too hard for me to handle. It was great. I felt I was at the peak of at that age, I felt I was at the top of my game. Until I found myself in a hospital bed. Everything changed. I spent about a month in a hospital, about 2 months in a rehabilitation center. And then I got back home to Kerala. That's where everything was different. The way people saw me, accessing different places of my own house was almost seeming impossible. I had a lot of people come and visit me at this time, at my home. So many people I didn't even know. Every single one of them, at least 90% of them, giving me sympathy and pity. They started placing all these limitations on how my life was going to be now because I got on a wheelchair. They said he's not probably going to have a nice job again. He's not going to be the same guy again. He's going to need somebody to live with him for the rest of his life to take care of him. And with all this being said, you know, they were trying to frame of how my reality was going to be. I ended up taking a treatment thinking that would help me back in Kerala, which was Ayurvedic, which completely backfired. Just to fix the damage caused by that person for this treatment which I thought was going to help me, I underwent 16 surgeries just to recover from it, from 2013 till 2017. So, from already the state I was in with all this trauma that happened to me, I just went in a whole nother phase. I underwent depression, loneliness. I was at the deepest and darkest phase of my life. Now, can you imagine? Sports captain, boxer, biker, the most popular guy in school, I was having it all. And I find myself in the deepest, darkest pit of my life. And with the worst part, nobody around me had an answer to how to fix a spinal cord injury. I reached a point of my life where I said, enough is enough. I was done. I just put a step forward because I was not doing anything. Nobody around me had answers to do for it. So what do? That's when I realized. Why are we depending on other people to change our lives? Why? The power had always been within each and every one of us. So I told myself, if anyone is going to change my life, it's not going to be my doctors, it's not going to be my family, it's not going to be anyone, it's going to be me. So I'm like, you know what? I built that little amount of confidence that was left in me. I'm like, let's go do it. So I wanted to do one thing that was told me impossible because anything I wanted to do, it's just not easy for you to get out of the house. You cannot do this because you're on a wheelchair. That place is not easily accessible. I was like, you know what? The first thing, I was denied to sleep in my own room. We had multiple bedrooms. We had in the first floor and the ground floor. Sleep in the ground floor is more easier because there's no way you can climb the stairs. We cannot install a lift for you at home. And you cannot run or walk, so just sleep downstairs, it's fine. I'm like, no, I want to sleep in my room. This very thing was denied to me. What do? Fine, I can't run, I can't walk. Can I pick myself up with my hands? I did that. That's exactly how I climbed. Yes, you're hearing it right. I went to the end of the step. I got out from my wheelchair to the step and I picked myself with my hands 18 steps up, and I did that every single day just to sleep in my room. You know what I realized from this one act? This is what everyone considered impossible because everyone thought, how is he going to walk up? How are we going to put a lift? How is he going to get up? Who's going to carry him? For me, the end of my mindset was, whatever it takes, I want to reach my destination. I want to reach my goal. And I got there. The minute I did that, I just did what most considered impossible. Basically, I made the impossible possible. Slow by slow, I started picking myself up. I started learning how to pick things from the ground because believe me, after the accident, I lost my balance. I wouldn't be able to sit on a chair without holding on to something. I would just fall. I would lose balance. I learned to pick things from the ground. I moved. I learned how to transform from my wheelchair to the car, how to transfer from the wheelchair to the bed, try to be a little bit more important day by day, build my confidence up. And then I got back to Dubai in 2015 after all this phase of being in Kerala. And in 2015, I was not working. I didn't finish my college at that time. So I was like, I need to get my fitness back. I need to get my physique back. So I joined a gym. It wasn't easy. It was very, very difficult when I started off. I've fallen many times in the gym. Weights have fallen on me. I have, weights, some exercises were almost impossible for me to do. Multiple times, over and over again. But I never stopped. I still showed up the next day. I still showed up the next day. Because I wanted it. I wanted it that bad. 3 months down the lane, I'm bench press. This is me being able to barely do even 5-10 kilo when I started. 3 months down the lane, after putting the work every single day, I find myself bench pressing 100 kilos for the first time in my life. Back in 2018, at Nebraska International School with the Chris Wade show, for the first time, I had ended up pulling a car that weighed 1,250 kilos for about 7 meters. I did that with one idea, not to prove about strength, but it was like, if I asked you, would you think this guy in a wheelchair can pull a car? Maybe 90% would say, no, I don't think it's possible. But what if you saw the impossible done by me? Because why can't I be an example? Why can't we all be an example? So what if you saw that impossible being done? Then wouldn't you start thinking and reflecting to your own self, man, there's so many things that I thought was impossible in my life. Maybe it's not. Maybe I just created that thought. Today in the UAE, I'm a banker by profession. I'm a fitness influencer. I'm the first person of determination in the UAE who's in a wheelchair to be a personal trainer, level 3. I just got my certification last August. And I'm a rapper and a motivational speaker, spoken to more than 25,000 people. Guys, do not be limited. Do not content yourself with just one thing in life. Because why not? Who's asking you to just do one thing in life? I know there are people who tell you, you know what, but it's better to do that one thing and be excellent at it. No. I tell you, do 5 or 10 things and be average at it. Because end of the day, the experiences that you accumulate over your lifetime makes you the person that you are going to be. So that's very important. So experience as much as things as you can in life. There are 3 things I want to tell you that I really want you guys to remember from what I have learned, which I will link it to life experiences, what I've went through. Number 1, I think this has to top the list. This is something everyone should tell themselves and realize when things happen to them. Life is not fair. It never was, it never is never gonna be. That's a fact. You gotta stop playing when things happen, when you feel down because of things happening to you. You gotta stop playing the victim card. Oh, damn, why did this happen to me? Why am I going through? Why does this happening to me every time? People say that, right? Oh, this happens to me all the time. Stop playing that victim card. Because if I was going to be complaining to you on how unfair life was to me, I would never be here. I would never come this far in life. I only came this far because I believed. And I had determination to make it that far no matter what it took. Second, believe in a dream and the vision that you have. Most of us, I think almost all of us at some point, as far as we go and you're doing good, but then at some plateau you start doubting yourself. Am I good enough? If I put it out there, will people acknowledge me? All these thoughts come to us at one point or the other where we doubt ourselves and we don't pursue something that we really wanted to. When I was in school, I really wanted to play basketball at my 11th grade, but I was not good enough. No, I wasn't. I had the height, I had the decent physique, but I was not a very good player. So what do? Every single day, I was in a hostel. in Kerala. Every single day, I used to, school finishes at 3:45. Sujit is the first guy on court with the basketball, shooting hoops, till the rest of the guys come. Every single day. I was there on the holidays, I was there on the weekends, I used to travel, I used to come every single day and play basketball at 4 o'clock till about 6 o'clock. There was a few days in the entire year, you wouldn't find anybody on the court, but you would find me. And those are the days it used to rain. You know, when you rain, the ball will barely even bounce. I take the ball, I shoot, the ball used to not even bounce. I used to walk, take the ball back, come to my point, shoot again, go, come back, just to practice every single day. And I used to do it in the rain, it never bothered me. That was the last of my worries. Fast track, that year I got selected in the team and we were in the finals of CBSE's district. We came to the finals, we lost in the finals, but we made it that far. I got to make it to the team. I got to do something that I was not good at, but I worked, and that was one very big pride moment for me. And number 3, take a chance. Because why not? Many a times, so many things, I think so many will be able to relate maybe. We don't do something because we're scared. We're scared that we might be bad at it and people might see it. We're scared of the uncertainty, what's in front. We are scared that we might fail. We're scared that we might lose. So because of that whole fear of what people might think about if we lose, how will we look outside, we might never take a step forward in doing something new. Or how will I sound if I tell an idea of mine? I loved rap music. I loved rap when I was a kid, from the time I was a kid. And I used to, for the first time, I wrote a rap song when I was in a hospital in 2017. I wrote a rap song and that was the first time I wrote it in a notepad paper. I was in a hospital, I was by myself. I wanted to write something that was relevant at that time of my life. I wrote it, the next day was my birthday. A good friend of mine, Chris Fade, he came to visit me in the hospital. And he ended up, and I just showed it to him, hey buddy, I just, made this song. And he was like, the next day he goes on the radio, we are live, and he plays my song on the radio. And an actress ended up hearing that, and that year I was nominated for Masala Award, and that year I ended up winning Masala Award's Most Inspirational Personality. Thank you. So think about it. When I would never put out my music, thinking, oh man, would my lyrics be good enough for someone to listen? Would I be good enough? Will people listen to me? But accidentally, when somebody else put it, see the route of heights that it took me to. And in 2020, I released my first own music video, which is out there on YouTube. And this year, I have a plan of releasing 6 more. Because why not? Never limit yourself. Before I end this speech, I want you to know, each and every one of you, the little things that we do, the little things, the little choices that we make every single day, that is what shapes our lives. When you do something, be committed to it, work on it every single day, because having a goal is great, but it's more important having a plan on how you're going to execute that goal. Every single one of us, every child, every boy, every girl, every parent, every staff, every student, we all have a fire within us. Every single one of us. We all have a fire, believe it or not. But it is your choice to either make that a wildfire or just let it be a flame. Thank you.
Our hearts have no words to convey the impact you just have extended, sir. We are grateful to you for extending your invaluable experiences of life. This morning, to us, you are inspiration personified. And of course, we all need to lift our own selves up. Thank you, sir, for that precious message for life.
Taking a break from the inspiring world of words, we now would like you to enjoy a mesmerizing performance by the dancers of our own high school. Watch them as they twist, hop, and twirl to the rhythm of the beats and the sound of music, waiting to enthrall us with a creative, a challenging blend of Western and Eastern features are Gokul Anand Kumar, Karate Black Belt holder, along with Abhijit and Devadat Shankar. Here they are.
Kita kecurutan gabari, gari ni sa re ga gabari. Sa pa ma ga ma ma ga ma ma ga ma ma ga ma ma ga pa ga ga re sa ni sa. Gari sa ni sa. Don't stop me up. Say yeah yeah yeah. Carissa, carissa, carissa. Carissa, carissa, carissa. C'est comme si, c'est comme ça, ma chérie, la 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 la. Carissa, carissa, carissa. Et ma madame, ma
Thank you, boys, for that breathtaking performance.
Invites you to the second phase of this eventful day, presenting the discussion forum. Discussions and debates have always formed an essential component in the evolution of human thought. We take this opportunity to welcome each one of you to the discussion forum of Inspire 2021. Let's put our hands together for the participants of the day. Ronak Raghavan from Delhi Private School, Sharjah. Aishwarya Balakrishnan from GEMS Millennium School, Sharjah. Kevin Thomas Sam from GEMS New Millennium School. Dhanvi Sayani from GEMS Aaron English High School, Dubai. Suraj Rajesh from GEMS Aaron Indian School. Prerna Ramkumar from Leaders Private School, Sharjah. Amanda Rachel Biju from Aaron English High School, Sharjah. Benson Binoy from Aaron English High School, Sharjah Boys. Jonathan John Thomas from Aaron High School, Dubai. Simran Veeraraghavan from the Millennium School, Dubai. Happy to note that the participants have taken their assigned positions on stage. Our esteemed moderator for the forum is Dr. Zeenat Khan, an international and national award-winning academic who is an acclaimed speaker with more than 60 publications to her name. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today. Ma'am, we request you to kindly ascend the stage to commence the forum. Assisting her on this journey is Adil Sarjan, a student of grade 12 from our own high school, Dubai. We welcome Ms. Zeenat Khan to the forum.
I wish to present the procedure of this forum. The discussion panel will revolve around two topics. Topic 1, along with the case study, was given a day prior to the event, and the participants have researched and are here to present their views on the same. The second topic and its case study is impromptu, where the topic and the case study will be given after discussion of the first topic. The participants will be given a few minutes to prepare for the same as well. Participants, please note that the duration of the discussion forum will be 45 minutes, and the forum comprises of 4 rounds. In the first round, the participants shall extend their introductory speeches. In the second round, 10 minutes of open discussion will be allowed for the first topic and case study. In the third round, there will be an open discussion on topic 2 and case study 2, where participants will be given 5 minutes to collate their thoughts. In the fourth and final round, the participants shall present their concluding stance. Kindly note that as your safety is the foremost priority, we request you to wear your gloves and mask at all times. A humble request to avoid removing your mask while speaking. Also, do hand over your mic as soon as you finish speaking to the assigned person attendant present for sanitizing. Thank you for your kind cooperation. We wish all the participants good luck.
Thank you again, Our Own, for inviting me to be a moderator for this discussion. I'm quite excited. We've heard already the first batch of students give us their inspirational talks, so we're really looking forward to hearing from you guys on what you think. For the audience, the topic that we have chosen for this first round is about, does breaking barriers ensure success? So people have a misconception that breaking barriers simply ensures success. If you have a problem and you overcome it, does it truly ensure you success? We will be discussing this topic with reference to the case study of Margaret Thatcher that I'm going to be reading out now. So Margaret Thatcher was a British Conservative Party politician and Prime Minister from 1970 to 1990, Europe's first woman Prime Minister, the only British Prime Minister in the 20th century to win 3 consecutive terms. And at the time of her resignation, she was the longest continuously serving Prime Minister since 1827. She accelerated the evolution of the British economy from statism to liberalism and became, by personality as much as an achievement, the most renowned British politician leader since Winston Churchill. Despite paving her way through a highly patriarchal structure, at the time of her resignation, faced numerous problems such as the rising prices of milk, the poll tax, as well as weakening of trade unions. Due to immense controversies regarding these issues, she was unceremoniously booted out of her office by her own colleagues and her own party. She broke barriers for women in parliament, but at the time never solidified her as an immense political figure. With reference to Margaret Thatcher's story, do you think breaking barriers ensured her success? If yes, why? If no, why not? So we will open up the floor to see who wants to give their first opening remarks. So all those, okay, there we go. Jonathan?
Success. That's the question of the hour. Success is not just getting to a point in your life. It's the willingness to serve others and stand by your beliefs and see them prosper a nation. In these terms, Margaret Thatcher was more successful than many of us will ever dream to be. She was a person who was so uncompromising in her resolve that she even gained the name the Iron Lady. But where did she get this resolve from? Where did she get her policies and values from? She got it when she learned to break her barriers. She learned her economic policy when she went through her father's accounts when he was a shopkeeper. She was the first British Prime Minister to hold a degree in science. Perhaps that's where she learned to be a strategist. Margaret Thatcher was also a minority in her political party. In all these circumstances, she had barriers to break. But just breaking these barriers alone didn't ensure her success. But they gave her the strength to pursue and conquer. So this is my opinion on the topic.
Okay, so I think that's an interesting viewpoint. He has redefined success. Let's see what our other speakers have to say.
I agree with my fellow forum member that Margaret Hilda Thatcher truly achieved success and that breaking barriers did ensure her success, since it gave her the courage to overcome all the obstacles she faced in her journey. However, breaking barriers is not the only factor that comes into consideration when it comes to perpetuating or sustaining success. Although it is the stairway to ensuring success, other factors such as personality, decision-making ability, and the ability to deal with crises also come into play. Maybe an incongruence in these factors along with politics was the reason for her downfall, but her ability to break all the numerous barriers she did, which includes her introducing modern policies, being a member of a conservative party, was truly path-breaking. That's my opinion.
Okay, great job.
Well, I would like to add this on. Thinking about success from a general perspective. So, does breaking barriers really ensure success? It could, but does it really? Just let's think about it to understand this a little better. Let's talk about success. what is success to someone could be different to what is success to someone else. And is the cost of attaining it really worth it? Is the pain and the mental anguish which is necessary to reach the stars really worth it to reach a final goal? Is it really worth it to become happy in life, if that is what success is to some of you? You've probably heard of the saying, no pain, no gain. Does punching a brick wall, making you bloody and bashed just to walk past it, really worth it? Because unless you're all born in bubbles, that is what success is. Success is a mixture of hard work, patience, and talent. And coming by all three factors is not so easy. You have to go through a lot. You have to go through a lot of pain and adversity to become successful through sheer hard work and talent. That is how you become successful rightfully. Which is why I think that breaking barriers does not really ensure success. Yeah. Thank you.
Amazing. I think we are getting to see different sides or different definitions of success. We've had somebody first give us a redefinition. The second speaker kind of told us about the time length of success. The third speaker just told us the cost of success. So the next speaker in line was...
According to me, there are no constraints on human mind, no walls around human spirit, and no barriers to our progress except those we ourselves erect. What do you do when you run into a wall? Do you give up and go back home? No, right? You find a way around it. And that's exactly what life expects us to do when we face barriers. Everyone's definition of a barrier is different. Your social media accounts not letting you study during exams is a barrier. Your laziness on your fitness journey is a barrier. Your shyness on your road to becoming a confident speaker is a barrier. I'm not pointing out anyone personally over here. I'm probably just listing out barriers I faced in my life. But success is a journey. It's in fact the most difficult but the most exciting journeys that we would ever embark in our lives. This road should never be smooth because that's only how we would enjoy our lives. And you cannot be wimpy out there on your dream-seeking tail. You need to be daring enough to break your own barriers and to find your own path. And according to me, sometimes breaking our own barriers itself is a form of success. When you overcome a barrier, you achieve a mile to further go on to be more successful. So breaking barriers in a way is success. It does ensure success. Thank you.
Okay, so we have now given some definitions of barriers, which also helps kind of redefine success. All right, the next speaker.
Prerana, over to you.
Human progress is the inevitable consequence of change in social order. However, mere demolishment of walls pertaining in the society does not ensure the complete success of an individual. For instance, when it comes to eliminating language barriers, removal of these blockades, for example, is followed by yet another challenge of voicing your opinions courteously. When a barrier is broken, it is followed by a new set of challenges and barriers itself. And I believe that it is important to produce effective solutions for these problems so as to ensure long-lasting success of an individual. Thank you.
All right, so now we are talking about change. Another angle brought in. Thank you.
So, according to me, I firmly believe that breaking barriers is what ensures success. So, what exactly is success? Some of you may think that success is maybe having a bigger house or having a lot of money or just generally being happy. And while you're not technically wrong, you're not entirely correct either. So, let me explain what I mean with an example. Say there's a man and he has $1 billion business empire behind him. And he decides to retire early and transfers all of his assets to his only son. Now, so his son right now is very rich. But would any of you really consider him successful? Can I see like a show of hands? See, this clearly shows that a majority of you think that this son is not successful. And I completely agree with that, and I feel like it boils down to one word: effort.
This son has not put in any effort. And you put in effort to solve problems. These problems are barriers, and when you put in effort to solve a problem, essentially what you're doing is breaking barriers. So breaking barriers, without a doubt, is what is correlated to success. Thank you.
Okay, great. So now we've got effort in the mix. Fantastic.
Simran, over to you.
I'm sure a lot of people here in the crowd, in the discussion forum itself, have a lot of barriers that they want to break or they are looking to break. I personally have a fear of public speaking. It is a barrier that I have wanted to break for a very long time. And this forum has actually given me an opportunity to do so. I know it'll be a turning point in my life where I know that I can, speak in front of a crowd. So I will answer the question by saying that yes, breaking barriers does ensure success. If you break every single brick that you have built up for yourself in the past, or anyone has built for themselves in the past, they will be able to accomplish anything. Thank you.
Okay, great. The next speaker.
Adversity births character, and character builds legacies. We have all been tasked with never-before-seen challenges, haven't we? From figuring out whether our screens are visible to everyone in the meeting, to making sure we're not dressed like our pandemic selves, now that everything is returning back to normal. We all have sailed through baffling problems. Each challenge that we have encountered allowed us to think, allowed us to imagine. It allowed us to envision a version of ourselves that our current self could not imagine being. A problem always led to thought, and that thought allowed us to exercise creativity and individuality to make every challenge our own and overcome all obstacles. And at the end of it, the sweet taste of victory never ceased to amaze us. We cherished every second, but the process that got us there was simply a mountain-like predicament we never thought we could scale. Breaking barriers may not be the only thing we need to do to reach our goals, but it most certainly equips you with what you need and makes you strive to be the person you wish to be and one that you are proud of. And that is what I will be focusing on here today. The fundamental spirit of humanity is striving to be the better version of yourself each and every day. Thank you.
The barriers people face can be of various types. Some can be personal issues such as a lack of self-confidence in themselves, not being confident enough to express their views publicly. And then they can also be external issues such as societal norms or political barriers, bureaucracy that prevents the people from achieving their full potential. So I believe that these barriers need to be broken in order for a person to achieve their full potential. And this in turn can help them ensure success. And success in itself is not something that can be generalized. It is something subjective from each person. And these barriers, as Danvi earlier said, is in itself, breaking them in itself is a success for a person. And I believe this facilitates the person and helps them to break even more barriers and eventually achieve the full potential and their full and be able to realize their dreams and ambitions.
Amazing. Isn't it so nice to see such varied viewpoints on the same topic? Who's the next speaker?
We have our final speaker for their opening speech, Amanda.
I would like to start off with an example. Now, let's suppose you hate the subject physics. You don't seem to understand it, and you cry over it. Now, you want to get better at the subject, so you start doing more questions, and you finally seem to understand. Now, you've put your heart and soul into cracking the subject. You've broken a barrier. But you end up not doing very well in your exams. Now you've broken the barrier, but you haven't necessarily achieved success. This exactly sums up my opinion on our topic at hand today. Breaking barriers, they definitely aid in achieving success. They definitely pave a path towards a success. But only breaking barriers, it does not guarantee success. Breaking any sort of barrier or overcoming a problem with grit and determination, it is definitely a learning experience for everyone around us and for ourselves. It helps us in the long run. But again, all the kinds of barriers that we face, be it societal, mental, physical, they're all highly subjective. And like many of my fellow forum speakers told, our definitions of success are highly subjective and personalized too. What might be success to me might not be success to you. So I believe that breaking barriers and overcoming problems is about growth and not just about succeeding. It's the journey that matters and not the destination. Thank you.
I think it's very important to also realize that each of our speakers not only had a different viewpoint, but they also came at it from either a positive or a negative stance. So audience, keep that in mind as we go into our next round. So now that we've heard the opening notes, we want to now open the floor for the discussion on the case study that we just explained to you about Margaret Thatcher. So going back to this definition of success and thinking about breaking barriers, who would like to have their say?
So I feel like the topic, does breaking barriers ensure success, is realized in the first line of the case study itself. So it states that Margaret Thatcher became Europe's first woman prime minister. Now, to achieve such a feat in her time, she would have had to face so many problems and overcome so many barriers. What she did is overcome a barrier that no one broke before. And I'm sure at this point, none of us would dare call her unsuccessful.
I would like to add on to what Kevin has stated. Okay. Kevin stated how at a point of time when the norm for a woman was constricted to a kitchen, where she could not imagine getting a feasible education, let alone leading the free world. At this time, Margaret Thatcher stepped up, broke the glass ceiling, and did something no one thought she could. The reason we all supported her, the reason she was seen as a pioneer, is not because of her political policies, not because of what she thought or did, but we saw hope. We saw hope in her that one day all of us, facing all our respective challenges, can be like her, shatter the barrier and step forward and get what we want. That in itself is the definition of success, going forward and getting what you want. Thank you.
Margaret Thatcher inherited a country in deep recession, politically and economically unstable, and with almost bankrupt government and rising inflation and unemployment. She chose to battle this threat by attacking the seemingly indomitable trade unions and by privatizing institutions that were traditionally state-run, such as housing projects and public transit back then. But her policies did reduce this inflation and interest rates. She broke her personal barriers as a woman. But as a prime minister, was she successful? The unemployment rates during her time increased from 3.6 to 5 million, which was a stunting growth in unemployment, which is not something a prime minister would regard as success. So breaking barriers individually as a woman and becoming the first prime minister was a form of success to her at a personal level. But at the level of a nation, she wasn't really a successful prime minister on those regards. So that's what my stance on this case study would be.
Okay. Any questions?
I would like to ask a minor question about the statement. Taking the example of the economical and financial sector as you have, Margaret Thatcher was also a pioneer who created a massive amount of jobs when she vouched for privatization of state-owned factories and businesses. She emphasized on the deregulation of markets. She emphasized on many policies that allowed people to exercise their will and right to earn their living. So don't you think this freedom was also a sort of path she paved for the world that we are following today?
Thank you for the question. Yeah, I haven't said that she was completely unsuccessful. But looking at the statistics at the end of her term as the Prime Minister, looking at the way she was overthrown by her own party members because a lot of her other policies weren't as successful as the ones you mentioned. You mentioned a few of those policies that ended up being very successful. But looking at the final rates, the unemployment, she did provide opportunities to increase employment. But at the end of the day, there was a rise in unemployment rather than employment. And yes, she was successful as the first woman Prime Minister. Just becoming that was successful. I do agree to that point of yours. But not all her policies except other than the ones you mentioned, were so successful. At the end, when she was removed as the prime minister, there were rising milk rates, as we just saw in the case study. The prices were inflaming like anything. So, at those regards, I would say she wasn't very successful as a prime minister. So, it didn't ensure her success at the end of the day as something what all of us would see success as.
I think here we see the redefinition of success again coming through.
In my opinion, breaking barriers was the first thing that ensured Margaret Thatcher her success. If she hadn't thought of breaking barriers, she would never have focused on her aims or her goals of pursuing an education, of wanting to join politics, of wanting to make an impact in the country. So the very fact that she overcame her barriers and she broke many of them, which is an astounding feat, did ensure her success. Although the reason for her downfall is most probably politics and her, as I mentioned earlier, decision-making ability to deal with crises. And she took decisions as an individual. And since every decision or every policy has its own pros and cons, all the policies she implemented also did have their pros and cons. And as did for every other Prime Minister of Britain. So in this case, probably a few disadvantages led to her downfall, or maybe for the reason for her success not being able to sustain. But the fact that she achieved success in the first place was the fact that she was able to break many barriers. Thank you.
All right, so I think that's where we are looking at how long a run the success had. Was it at the beginning of her becoming a prime minister a success, or at the end how she ended her term? Okay, so before we go forward, I had a question for Ronak for the statement that you made. So Ronak, Margaret Thatcher became prime minister in 1979, right? And we are saying that was breaking a barrier because she was the first woman, etc. But given that they were a first world country, we've already had India, who had a woman prime minister way before that. So how would you then still continue to define her success as breaking barriers?
Thank you so much for your question, ma'am. Ma'am, the example of Great Britain being a first world country is not always relevant to their social progress. Even in today's world, we see the United States of America, known to be the leader of the free world, have many regressive thoughts. Something as simple as the administration of a health vaccine. Being a first world country does not necessarily challenge progress or guarantee it in any way. But even in those times when the streets were plagued with conservative and regressive views, where women were not seen as anything but just aid to the success of men, she stood up to be at par with them. And that on her level, at her state, was a form of breaking barriers for her. Maybe done in a later time, but done duly well.
Fantastic, thank you.
According to me, breaking barriers does not ensure you long-lasting and complete success. Yes, breaking barriers provides you with new opportunities to make use of, but it is also necessary that you take the right decisions after you break a barrier. With regard to Margaret Thatcher, after she became the Prime Minister, she did introduce revolutionary policies such as the privatization of companies and industries. But with regard to her economic policies, I could say she failed to a great extent. So I believe that though she was the first women Prime Minister, yes, she was partly successful. But she also had to focus a little bit more on her decision-making capabilities.
It's a viewpoint.
Sure.
We've heard and we've been discussing a lot about her economic policies and what she's been implementing. But I would like to bring to light, she joined her position as a Prime Minister when Britain was at a very sorry state. Inflation was at an all-time high, but she managed to bring it from 22% to 2.4%. And in addition to this, trade unions had a lot of power at that time. And these workers were going on strike, and there were millions and millions of days of work that were being left because of these strikes. But she believed in privatization, and she believed in taking away the power from these trade unions and giving it to the people so that they can prosper, so that they can break their own barriers. So I disagree with the fact that, with your opinion that, and many people's opinion that she failed in her economic reforms. Another thing that I would like to state is she was a person who knew adversity. She came from a working class family. She went and she earned a degree at Oxford, one of the most reputed institutions. And to say that just because there was some politics that kicked her out of her party, and to be honest, they were most probably intimidated by her. She very famously said that if you want something said, you can ask a man. But if you want something done, you can ask a woman. And these men and many other people intimidated by her said a lot of things and tried to ruin her reputation. That was solely the only reason why she was withdrawn from her party. But she was thoroughly a success, and evidence is there to prove that.
Okay, thank you. We have time for one more. Who had put it up first? Surya, yeah.
To summarize a lot of my fellow speakers' points, and to pose a question to everyone also, is that when you look at success, especially in Margaret Thatcher's case, she was an individual. She was a woman in a time where obviously men still is occurring, but to a lesser extent, when men were more dominating in the political scene. And individually, if you look at it individually, she was successful. She came into the government as a woman at a time where men were again dominating the scene. She had 3 terms in her pocket, and she changed the entire landscape of politics in Britain. And you could take it to a certain extent for the entire world, because she proved that women can be better and can be better than men. And that her being a prime minister of a first world country was like proof for a lot of individuals, for a lot of young girls, for a lot of old women, for everyone, that anything is possible. And her being a prime minister, breaking those barriers, just proves that anything is possible. And moving on to her economic reforms in the political scene, initially, yes, Britain was at a trying time. As Jonathan had stated, that inflation was all-time high, and she decreased it. But when you look at it at a broader picture, though that was the case, though Margaret Thatcher decreased inflation in the country, in her ending terms, in her last few terms in office, a lot of jobs were lost. That though the inflation was decreased, a lot of jobs are lost, and that cannot be ignored. Yes, there is good and bad, there's bad and good. You cannot live without both. It's necessary. But you should always consider the whole picture of an individual, that nothing should be disregarded. And as an individual, Margaret Thatcher was great. She was powerful, she was strong. But when you look at the bigger picture, she obviously had her flaws in her. That's what my viewpoint is. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we are out of time for this round. Thank you so much. I think it's very important to also realize at this point, we are, looking back and we are trying to judge whether she was successful or not. And I think I agree with a lot of the speakers that there is different definitions of success that you can have, and at different points in somebody's career. So what is it that we are looking at? Yes, definitely she was a success. As a woman who broke the barrier and became a leader, she was successful because she was voted in 3 times in a row. So all of those speak to her success. Yes, everything else could be, like you said, could be politics, could be that, bad political decisions, etc., which doesn't define necessarily her being a woman and being a politician, but being a politician itself. So for the closing, I'll hand it over to Adil.
Thank you, ma'am. So topic 1 and case study 1 was very insightful with its diverse opinions from all the participants here. But time for this topic is over. But worry not, we have a second topic and a second case study which is completely impromptu and one that the participants are unaware of. The volunteer will be handing down the case studies to all the participants, and they will have a time of 5 minutes to think upon the case study that is being handed over to them. I'll give it to ma'am to explain the topic as well as the case study.
Okay, so for the audience, the topic is breaking barriers a figment of mere destiny? So breaking barriers, is it something that's destined to happen? Or does it happen due to the effort and time a person puts into overcoming the issue that helps them achieve their goals and aspirations? We want our students to discuss this topic with regards to the case study that I'm going to read on none other than Neeraj Chopra. So Neeraj Chopra is an Indian track and field athlete who is the reigning Olympic champion in javelin throw. As of August 2021, he is ranked second internationally by World Athletics. In 2011, Neeraj Chopra weighed 85 kgs. He was an obese child, and his family almost forced him to join a gym. But in his village, Khandra in Haryana, they had no such facility. He had to travel 17 kilometers away from his home to get enrolled in a gym in Panipat. On his way, he would often visit the Shivaji Stadium, where athletes from various disciplines of sports would converge and practice. Although I was running to shed weight, I didn't particularly enjoy it. I used to stand at some distance and watch my senior Xavier, who was representing Haryana in javelin practice. One day, at his behest, I tried the javelin. I discovered I could throw it far, and realization helped me regain my self-esteem. Thus, the kid who was fighting to lose weight had finally found his calling towards javelin, and with suggestions from Xavier, a professional javelin thrower himself, he started training. This further led to him win gold at 2020 Olympics and the first Indian to do so in athletics. Some say that if Neeraj Chopra was never enrolled in a gym, he wouldn't have ever met his success. Do you think breaking barriers is a figment of a mere destiny in his case? All speakers have 5 minutes to think about the topic, and then we will begin.
While the participants are preparing, I have my friend Hamza Pervez who wants to share something with the audience. Over to you, Hamza.
Very good morning to everyone present here today. My name is Hamza Pervez, and I am a grade 12 student here at our own high school, warqa'a. Here at Inspire, we believe that anyone can be an inspiration, even the audience. Hence, we would like to do an audience discussion based on the previous topic given, does breaking barriers ensure success? Hence, we would like to hear from the audience about your views on the topic, as well as the given case study based on Margaret Thatcher. Please raise your hand if anyone would like to give their views on the given topic. Please state your name and the school you're from. Yes, over there.
Yeah, my viewpoint on the topic is a bit different. I think to continuously keep on achieving success, a person need not just break one barrier, like losing weight, public speaking. He needs to keep on breaking barriers. A constant improvisation is needed. And second thing is, the question is asking is breaking barriers ensure success. But I see it from a different point. Breaking a barrier does not just ensure success, its major point is ensuring not failure. Ensuring not failure. That is like, breaking a barrier gives you a different tool, like learning a new skill or overcoming a fear gives you a tool to handle your problems. It does not just give you over the trophy, but it gives you the skills like walking fast, jogging, and speaking better to overcome your fear. Like to break the breaking the barrier gives you the power, let's say, or the skill to achieve the success. That's my viewpoint.
All right, thank you so much. Anyone else? Anyone here preferably? It's an open-ended question. Your interpretation can be anything.
Breaking barriers is not just the definition of success. Instead, breaking barriers is a path to success. If you manage to break a barrier, you would not be guaranteed success as a result of that. But instead, you build upon, as you break a challenge, you keep working hard and put your effort in achieving your goal that will eventually lead you to success.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Nasreen from GEMS Millennium Sharjah. And being teacher by nature, so the first thing that I would like to analyze the combination of words, breaking and barrier. Barrier, that is something which is stopping. And breaking, you want to break it. Why would you break it? Because you want something. So efforts are applied and you want to ensure success. You want to achieve something. That is why breaking barrier ensures success. Now, what is the definition of success? It depends individual to individual. Okay? Children have very narrow-mindedness about few things and they want to achieve very small things in their life. It may be anything, any damn thing. So they actually sometimes, have a preoccupied nation or a narrow-mindedness towards something, but they want to have it. So they break something. So breaking barrier, I think, ensures success because you are applying efforts and you want to achieve something. And as far as the lady in the question we are discussing about, Margaret Thatcher, of course, she has proven that women are not only meant for hearth. And it is not only she. I would also like to bring an example of Benazir Bhutto, who was the prime minister of a country which was completely male-dominating country. Second example of Sheikh Hasina from Bangladesh. She was also an iron lady who, successfully was the prime minister of such a great country. And of course, how can we forget Indira Gandhi? So these ladies definitely have broken the boundaries, and let us not analyze them, that how successful they were as a prime minister. There were many men prime ministers also who were not that successful. So let us not analyze, but what have they done? What have they proved to the world? I think we should have a broader perspective to look at the contribution and the benchmarks that they have set for a successful woman in the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this insightful word. I think that's all the time we have for now. Thank you so much for everyone who participated, and have a great day.
All right, so welcome back. We hope the speakers had time to gather some thoughts. So we go directly into the discussion forum for this topic. Who would like to have an opening statement about the discussion? Yes.
I would like to start with a quote by Napoleon Hill. The only limitations we have are the ones we set up in our minds. And truly said, it takes effort to break barriers. It takes effort to realize that one has to break barriers. It takes effort to develop oneself personally, and it takes effort to garner the willpower to do that. And getting the willpower to do something and believing in something with conviction is not destiny. Maybe destiny does aid in exposing you to barriers, as did in the case for Neeraj Chopra. But it was definitely effort on his own part to realize that there was a barrier and to put in the hard work to want to break it. These are my thoughts.
Okay.
I don't completely agree with what Aishwarya has spoken about.
Okay.
Here's my viewpoint on it. Luck is a huge factor in everything. That is something everyone can agree on, and here's why. There are times when I remember something crucial during an important event that is very crucial for the event moving forward, but I forget it, and immediately a thought is stuck in my brain, and I remember it, and that saves me a lot of time. For fellow pianist, here's a good example. There's a composer called Rachmaninoff. His pieces are a technical nightmare. I say this because your hand movements, your hand flies on the keyboard. That's how people play his pieces. It's a technical nightmare. And for an easier time, because Rachmaninoff, his hands were bigger than an average human being's hands. Why were his hands bigger? Genetics. Genetics is luck, it's destiny. So, luck and destiny are not the end-all and be-all factor in breaking barriers. But it plays a crucial part in it. From what I think about it, or how I feel about it, there are three factors which play a huge key role in breaking barriers: hard work, luck, and talent. These three factors are indeed definitely required to break barriers. Obviously, you can increase your luck by working harder. Working harder does increase your luck. It does break barriers. But it is not the defining factor of how you can break barriers. To be successful, hard work is required, but it is not the end-all, be-all factor. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree to what Suraj said. I believe it's not either completely luck or completely hard work that matters. It's a mixture of both. We can't do it as either or. In the case of Neeraj Chopra, there was luck in that he happened to go to the gym, and on the way he happened to chance upon the javelin throwers practicing. That's the luck part. And then there was the talent part, that he was genetically predisposed in a certain manner, that he was good at javelin throwing, even without any training. And also there was hard work that he had to, though this was in 2011, he had to work hard for 10 more years. It is only after 10 years that he managed to win the gold at the Olympics. So I believe that just because a person has that talent doesn't matter. He should be able to break the barriers of laziness, I would say, and be able to work harder in order to achieve his full potential. That's what I believe.
Okay, Simran?
I do not agree that luck plays any role in ensuring success. In the case of Neeraj Chopra, yes, he was in that particular spot where he met those people, and then he threw the javelin, and then he realized he had potential. But in my opinion, if he wasn't there at that spot, he would have been there maybe 5 or 7 years in the future. Maybe not at that time. Maybe he wouldn't win the gold medal whenever he did, but I'm sure he would win it, sometime in the future. His hard work, his determination that got him to leave his house, go 17 kilometers away to enroll in the gym, that was what got him to where he is today, and not the luck that he had just stumbled upon some people. Because if he had just sat in his house, he would have never been this. Maybe he would have, you never know, but this is not luck. This was his determination to get up and go and enroll in that gym. Thank you.
Okay, so because you've said that, maybe I will throw a question at you at this point. So when we teach ethics, there's a theory called winners take all, right? This is an actual theory. And what it means is the ones who have the opportunity or the luck, they're the ones who get the fame, the money, the spotlight, etc., like Justin Bieber. Because Usher supported him through YouTube and everything and giving him opportunity, he became who he was, although not necessarily the greatest singer in the planet. So when you see situations like this, would you still consider the viewpoint that you've just given, that it's not luck, but hard work?
Yes, thank you for your question. And yes, I still stand by my statement, because in the case of Justin Bieber, yes, he had a few people, he had people that would encourage him, to where he is today. But there are many other people that still have the talent, but they do not have the people. But that's not based on luck. See, the people who do not have someone to push them to where they are today, to push them to their full potential, they have to do it on their own. And I think there are many examples to prove that people have actually achieved something even though they did not have anyone to support them. Thank you.
Okay, good answer.
Like my fellow speaker Benson, I completely believe that breaking barriers, it is a mixture of luck and one's effort and hard work. Because in the case of our case study, Neeraj Chopra, him being obese and him ending up at the gym and just by chance happening to see them playing javelin, that part was destiny, of course. And he could have chosen, after he realized that he had some talent, he had his chance at being good at javelin, he could have stopped. He could have been like, okay, I'm good at this. He could have not pursued it further, but he decided, with greater determination, he decided to go ahead. He started working hard for it. He worked for 10 years, and finally he got his first gold medal at the 2020 Olympics, which shows that both destiny, that is both destiny and luck, and his hard work, his self-esteem, his determination, and his confidence in himself is what led him to his success. So it's definitely a mixture of both.
Let me ask you all a question. Can you control your luck? No, you cannot. What you can control is the amount of hard work you put into something, the amount of effort you put into something you want to achieve, or the amount of effort you put into breaking a barrier. So if you were to ask me if luck plays a role in breaking barriers or to achieving success, I would say no. Because if it was yes, you would end up blaming every unsuccessful feat of yours on luck. I didn't get good marks in the exam because I was unlucky. I didn't win a competition because I was unlucky. You won't see that you didn't work hard enough to break the barriers you were facing to achieving good marks. You won't consider the fact that you didn't practice enough to win a competition as much as your competitor did, and that you wouldn't break your barriers. You would just blame it on luck. So luck definitely does not play an important factor towards breaking a barrier. Taking Neeraj Chopra's case, yes, you can't call him lucky to be obese, can you? No, he wasn't. He was obese, which is why he had to go to the gym. No one is lucky that they were obese, or you can't consider that luck, I would say. Just because he started focusing on his fitness, that's when he came about the instance that he came to know he was good at javelin. But even after that, he had financial struggles to overcome. He could have given up there, but he did not. So you won't call that luck. He wasn't lucky that he did not give up. It was a determination that came in from within, that I want to do this. So luck definitely does not play any factor in breaking a barrier or to becoming successful. It's your determination, your willpower, the amount of effort you want to put in, which would. If you would say luck plays an effort or plays a role into this, I would say you're probably looking for an excuse to give up. So yes,
Okay.
that's my viewpoint on this.
With that, I think we have time for one more.
Thank you so much for the recognition. I would like to begin my remarks with just a thought. Destiny may help one realize that potential, but hard work and deliberation is what helps you attain that podium of success. In the wise words of Dwayne Johnson, it's about the drive, it's about the power, it's about the hunger that you must have, and you must devour every opportunity in front of you. That is what makes a person successful. I would like to present a reverse perspective. Everyone here focused on the one instance given in the case study. I would like to bring a turn to the events that we have taken. Let's presume for 1 second that Neeraj Chopra was not destined. He was not a fortunate man. And why do I say so? Look at the facts in front of us. He belonged to a working class family. He was born with a body that did not look anything like an athlete's. He could barely afford his first javelin that costed a mere 6,000 rupees. And even to sustain himself in the future and make himself secure, he had to pause his dreams and join the army. Now, there is always the chance of finding positives in the negatives, saying he went through training and strict discipline there. But really, would you consider all of these things a part of his good destiny? I don't think so. It's just a matter of perspective that we are trying to do his work as something matter of luck, but it really isn't. He strived to be at the point of excellence where he is today.
All right, thank you. So with that, we come to the end of the discussion round. We will go into the closing speeches for all the speakers now.
It has been a very interesting session and a wonderful experience hearing everyone's opinions about what breaking barriers means to them, whether it can ensure success for you. I stand by my opinion that I came in with, although I'm heavily influenced by what everyone had said, that breaking barriers is something that's vital in our journey to success. When we were talking about Neeraj Chopra, if someone had built a gym in his own village, we would call that luck, but that would have been unlucky for him. We have to believe that God is there and that His hand is guiding us along the right calling, but we must not sit at our homes waiting for destiny to carry us through. We have to pursue our dreams. We have to go after these barriers, break them, and use that strength to move forward in our life.
I don't think my opinions and ideals have still changed, but it's obviously interesting to hear everyone speak and their thoughts and opinions, which is something that has to be taken account to. I agree with Jonathan also on a lot of what he said, right, in his concluding remarks. And when you look at cases like Neeraj Chopra, Margaret Thatcher, they're obviously individuals. They had a lot of hard work put into what they're doing. They had a lot of factors that influenced their life. The surrounding was obviously a factor, the people around them, their own mindset is something that plays into what they have achieved. That is what that stands true for everyone, really. Your mindset, the way you present yourself, the way you think about things, the way you perceive ideas, thoughts, feelings, is what determines whether you will break a barrier or not. That is something I firmly believe in, something I need to work on in myself. Yeah. And I think this has been a very informative session. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Who's next?
When I came in, when I sat on this table, when I heard everyone's opinion on Margaret Thatcher, it caused me to slightly bend from what I was originally thinking when I had entered. But although not completely, I was against her. I was against her ideologies. I was against the wills that she, put on the British society. But then the speakers here made me realize that she has also done a certain amount of good that, that enabled her to get where she was, that enabled her success. For the second case study for Neeraj Chopra, I still stand with my opinion, where luck does not play a role in your success. And you simply cannot blame luck for everything. It's not something you can blame. You need to work hard at some point in your life. Otherwise, everything you do, you will just blame it on luck. It'll become an excuse, as she said. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I believe that breaking a barrier is an integral part of any kind of success. And every barrier that is broken leads to progress in human civilization, or it leads to human development. With regard to the second case study, I believe that every barrier that is broken is a mixture of hard work, effort, and luck. Luck plays a huge role in any barrier that is broken. For example, if you want to break your boundary of being a good public speaker, first of all, you will have to take the initiative to do that. And secondly, you must meet the right mentor at the right time, which is very important as well. So, and regarding the first case study, I still stand with my viewpoint that Margaret Thatcher, though she was a successful political leader in many ways, she could have chosen better decisions in the later part of her career.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So regarding the first case study, I still stand by my opinion that breaking barriers does ensure success. However, regarding the second case study, my opinion has changed. So initially I believe that destiny does play a greater role in breaking barriers than effort. And the reason being that I thought that Neeraj Chopra, if he was never enrolled in a gym, he would have never met his success. And that is directly because that is luck. However, now, after hearing everyone's opinions, I've come to realize that Neeraj Chopra enrolling in the gym is not luck. That was actually him being willing to put in the effort to change, to get rid of his obesity. So now I believe that effort does play a greater role than destiny in breaking barriers. Thank you.
Okay, great. Who was next?
I would say I haven't changed my viewpoints on both the case studies. You can call me headstrong in that case, but I have my reasons for it. For the first case study, I would still stick to the fact that breaking barriers in one way itself is a form of success. A very simple example being that if I broke my barrier to being someone who wouldn't be very confident enough by coming here and giving this speech, by being a part of this forum, and by being active enough to take part in such forums and competitions. So that's me breaking my barrier, and that is a form of success for me because it's going to help me in the future. So breaking, and with regards to Margaret Thatcher being a good prime minister or not, let me give you a very simple example. If I were to be made the head girl of my school, there are two factors that you would take as success. Is me becoming a head girl success to me, or is me doing things that a head girl is supposed to do is me creating an impact as a head girl's success. So there are two ways you can view this as, and the point of view you choose is a personal perspective that I would like you to think about. And to end with, I would say, just like rainwater is heated in a vessel for purification, humans are roasted by the expectations and judgments of people around them. The only difference is that the former succeeds for the better and the latter for the worse. It's your choice whether to stay within or break the vessel you're trapped in. If you decide to break the chains you're trapped with, you would fly like a butterfly and break all your barriers and become successful. That's how I will end my speech.
Thank you so much. Amanda?
Very interesting listening to all the viewpoints of all my fellow speakers, but my stance on both the topics haven't changed. So regarding the first case study, does breaking barriers ensure success? I still believe that breaking barriers, while it does help in our path to success, only breaking barriers does not ensure success. And our second case study about breaking barriers being a figment of mere destiny, I believe that it's definitely, while while destiny also plays a role, hard work plays the upper hand. And I think all of us can agree and find common ground and agree that breaking barriers is the main point here. To any human, breaking barriers is very crucial for everyone's lives, be it even if it leads to success or even if it's because of our destiny. Yes, ma'am, that's ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the recognition. This event has been something that's been hyped up for the past God knows how long. The team has worked incredibly hard on it, and even during all the promotional events, the mentoring sessions and whatnot, it was the pessimistic side in me said, no matter how much hype, it's just going to be an event where we're going to discuss a normal subject and have two sides of an opinion. But coming here today has really changed how I view discussions as a whole, because not one, not two, but I've got 9 different opinions apart from myself on how a simple statement can be viewed in so many ways. As for my regards and as for my opinions on both the case studies, I wouldn't say that they haven't changed, but I wouldn't say they've changed either. Such topics that are open to interpretation, such topics that are viewed as a subjective case are never black and white. There's always room for gray area and there's always room for improvement. But I would like to tie this to something I said in my introductory speech. This has given me so much food for introspection and ties back to what I said when I said that the most fundamental thing about the human spirit is the strive to adapt. It's the strive to learn, and it's the strive to be better. And this forum has absolutely given me so much thought to adapt myself to new situations and think differently, and think not for myself, but for a broader picture.
Fantastic. Thank you. Benson?
The forum was very interesting and made me realize that in all subjects there are no black and white. It's always a gray area. We can have multiple interpretations and multiple opinions on a subject, and we need to be able to accept that and interpret in our own manner. Interpret it in our own manner, and there's nothing wrong with having your personal opinion on a subject. With regards to the first subject, I hold that breaking barriers is important for anything. I think we all agree that in an individual sense, Margaret Thatcher managed to break the barrier and and she normalized women being in politics. However, on the political side of it and economic reforms, she's a bit divisive. But then I think we can all agree that she has broken various barriers. And then on the second topics, I still stand firm that luck and hard work go hand in hand, and it's not independent of each other. Thank you.
Awesome. Last speaker.
I'm extremely grateful to have the opportunity to listen to so many different opinions. And while my stance has not really changed for both the case studies, but listening to all your different opinions really did give me an opportunity to reflect and think about what I stand by or what I hold true. With regards to both the case studies, in conclusion, I would like to say that although luck or destiny may or may not play a part in breaking barriers, or whether just breaking barriers may or may not include success, what must not be overshadowed by it is the fact that there's a lot of personal effort that is required when it comes to breaking barriers, and if not, and breaking barriers has its own advantages and will definitely be helpful, regardless of how it is done. Thank you.
All right, so with that, we come to the end of the discussion forum. I think you have all had an opportunity to listen to all the 9 speakers and what they had to say. And I think it's very important to realize that each of them actually came from a very different viewpoint when they were actually giving their opinions. So thank you all the speakers for being so bold and breaking your barriers.
We request our moderator, Dr. Zeenath Khan, to share her views with us.
Okay, so I will go back to what I said about winners take all. There is something else called digital divide. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. I'm sure all of us have felt it during the pandemic. It's not just about who has technology and who doesn't. It's also about who had a fast technology during pandemic to be able to attend classes. It's about how many devices were connected to a network when you and your siblings were actually getting connected. Whether your parents were okay with you if you were a hijabi and they wanted you to switch on your webcams and mics or not. Whether your family situation allowed you to switch on the mics. So all of this is digital divide. And because I give the example of Justin Bieber, I'll just bring that back in. He became famous for the songs that he sang. And there were 2 girls in a remote village in Pakistan who loved his songs so much on YouTube. They can't speak a word of English, but they memorized and they sang his songs in the full accent. How many of you heard of this story? 1. So opportunity is crucial. It definitely matters. But this is what I would come back and say. If you don't see the opportunity, create it for yourself. That in itself would be breaking barriers. And I think a lot of the speakers that spoke today, this is where you came from, right? You had an idea, and you're hearing opponents speak about very different ideas, and you still stuck by it. Even if you came back and said, yes, I think my opinion has changed, that in itself is a hurdle that you have come across. Nobody wants to say they were wrong. Nobody wants to say they didn't know. You ask anybody, I knew this, I know everything, right? That's usually human tendency. Grown-ups do it all the time, by the way. So I think it's really amazing what has happened here today. It wasn't a competition, it wasn't a debate, and I think that's why having a discussion forum was so important for the topics that we discussed today. The 2 amazing personalities that you debated about or gave your opinions about, I think kind of paved the way for us to have this kind of discussions. Yes, luck can be there, luck may not be there, but it's about that hard work as well. It's about that effort and the journey as well to celebrate. What happens afterwards is a different story, right? So I think I want to really thank our own, the principal, the ma'am. They're not here, I think. I can't see because of the light. Bindu ma'am, there she is, yes. Oh my gosh, right. And you know, the team for thinking of creating and providing a platform for you guys to come here and have this discussion very safely with courage. And to the audience for listening in and sharing in your viewpoints. It's a very important topic. In fact, this year's International Women's Day has a very similar theme. It's called Breaking Biases. So I really enjoyed moderating the session. I hope you guys continue to think about these things, not just as an opinion or an argument, but about how this can take you forward. What are the kind of barriers you want to break in your life, and what would that mean for you and everybody around you? So well done to everybody, and thank you once again, Our Own, for this platform.
Thank you, ma'am. We request our participants and esteemed moderator to kindly step down and take your seats in the auditorium. Adil, we would highly appreciate if you could stay back. We now request our co-moderator, Adil Sarjan, to come forward and share his view with us.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Adil Sarjan, and I was one of the content and curation heads for this amazing event. So let's start off where we left, the Inspire Forum. Now, the Inspire Forum was clearly made for something like this. Initially, we had our doubts with regards to the forum. We believed that every topic will be one-sided. Everyone will believe what's right. But questions like these, topics like these, as the participants mentioned, always have a lot of sides, not 2, more than 2. And the participants did justice to what they were given, with the time that was allocated and with the research that they had to do. The impromptu topic and the case study that was given highly showed that the world, everyone in the world thinks differently. And this whole idea that if you have two things, you have two things, but two ideas to a person is like an ocean of possibilities, right? And that this forum put it together. With regards to expression, same thing. A lot of people have a lot of different stories, and sharing that with people is completely different. Now, coming to me personally, I have grown a lot. Last year, Inspire was online. It was amazing with regards to it being online. And last year, where was I? I was a volunteer, and look at me today. In front of all of you, I stand here. And if you take a look at my legs, they are not shaking. Last year, if you told me that I was on stage, by the way, this was not prepared, and I'm still not shaking. That means that I have grown. I have broken my barrier with regards to speaking. And on that note, I wish to state say that Inspire is not just about the audience and learning what the storytellers want to say. It's about participants learning from one another, the audience learning from the participants, the core team learning from everyone. So everyone at the end of the day learns from everyone. And I hope that we have inspired each other. With that, thank you.
We shall now have the privilege of listening to Ms. Johani Al-Mairi. As an inspiring speaker for Women in Aviation Middle East chapter, her invaluable work would have certainly made a positive difference in the lives of many. Dear ma'am, today it is our turn to be motivated by your words of wisdom, and we consider it an honor to listen to you. Please, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for having me here today. I am so inspired by everything that I've seen here today, and you're all extremely lucky to nurture these talents so early on. And thank you so much for everybody that made today a reality. I know it was no easy task, and I know how much work, and I'm assuming many weeks that it took for you to reach where you were today, to come on stage and to slay the stage. So great job, everyone. You're welcome. So by profession, I am an air traffic control officer. I'm also an on-the-job training instructor, and I work with trainees to teach them tips and tricks on how to control airplanes in the sky. So before I begin, does anybody know what air traffic control is? Can I see a show of hands? Many more hands than I expected. That's great. Next question. Who knows and has seen Spider-Man? Oh yeah, I knew there'd be more hands for this question. So, everybody knows Spider-Man's best friend, Ned? Okay, so Ned is Spider-Man's best friend. He calls himself the guy in the chair. He sits in front of his computer screen and he monitors Spider-Man while he's fighting all the bad guys, and he speaks to him on a headset to keep him safe. For air traffic control, I don't speak to Spider-Man, unfortunately. I speak to pilots instead. I provide pilots with instructions through my headset on a frequency, and I provide them with instructions to keep them safe and separated from other aircraft as well as obstructions. By obstructions, I mean the Burj Khalifa or the beautiful mountains in the United Arab Emirates. I also monitor them on a radar screen to make sure that they are going in the correct direction. Air traffic control is also known to be one of the most stressful jobs in the world. Today, I'm here to speak about breaking barriers and the different barriers that I had to overcome in order to reach where I am today. Barrier number one. I'm not going to lie to all of you, I did not do that well in high school. I had report cards that had me as an average and even a below average student in some subjects. And in the parent-teacher conferences, I would go along with my parents, and the teachers would say that I have so much potential. That if I just apply myself a little bit more, I could reach for the stars. Now, I genuinely had absolutely no idea what it is I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Earlier, Zaima asked the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, 17 years down the line, I had absolutely no idea. It's a massive question to ask. Another reason as to why I didn't do well in school was because there was a lot going on at home with my family. And I allowed this drama to get to me and interfere with my future and my education. Because of this, I made the decision that I'm not going to go to university. I will work in the family business, and I will help contribute towards the finances for our home as well as my sisters to continue to go to school. It was an all-female household, and my mother was the boss lady. So during the time that I worked with my mother, it was approximately 1.5 to 2 years. And in this time, I realized that even though I still didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, I found out that I wanted to be independent. Finally, I found something. So what I did is I applied to every scholarship program I could find, and being Emirati, there are scholarship opportunities that are very competitive, and if you apply to them and you get accepted, you get paid during your education, and afterwards, if you make it through, you're provided a job. And so I applied to all these scholarship programs. Barrier number 2. Remember I said my report cards didn't reflect me to be a good enough student? Well, these scholarship programs, being extremely competitive, did not have me at the top of their list. I got many rejection emails, and it broke my heart every time I got one, and I wish I just focused in school a little bit more and go back in time. Unfortunately, that isn't the case, and it's unable to do so. Another reality check came about, and my mother's business had to close down, unfortunately. So our main source of income was now gone. As the eldest child, I felt the pressure that I need to financially provide and take care of my mother, my 2 younger sisters, and my grandmother. So what I did is I continued to apply for more scholarship programs, and I was waiting to hear back from the last one that I remember applying to. And it was a rejection email yet again. So I was absolutely devastated. I spoke to my mother, I felt my feelings, and I applied to a few more jobs instead this time. After applying to all these jobs, and I was waiting to hear back, I got an email for one more scholarship program that I completely forgot I applied to, air traffic control. Only 1% of the people that apply to air traffic control programs successfully made it through. Worldwide, this is the known statistic, only 1%. I went, I did all the examinations. It included mathematics, physics, English, and a psychometric exam, all very time pressured. I was so stressed. And I am part of that 1%. Two years after getting accepted into the program, I successfully made it through, and I was the only female on my batch. I made it through before all the boys, not that it was a competition. And I ended up being the second Emirati woman to successfully complete the training in my facility, as well as the youngest woman to ever do so. You can... The youngest you can get your air traffic control license is at 21, and I made it just in time. Alhamdulillah. So these are the 2 barriers that I had to overcome. Here comes barrier number 3. So now, after I didn't do well in high school, I made it a point in life to put myself forward, and I learned to compartmentalize and put my priorities first. So a couple years down the line, now I'm super confident, I'm an air traffic controller, and I was approached by my company to represent them at Dubai Air Show in the year 2019. Extremely excited. You want me to represent air traffic control, specifically Emirati women in the field? There are hardly any of us. I don't think there's more than 30 in the whole world. So I was extremely excited. I prepared for my panel discussion. I was a panelist on the day. And right now, I genuinely can't remember what the topic was about. I think it was air traffic control and a little bit of artificial intelligence. So I get on stage, and the introductions go through, no problem. And a little backstory before I continue. I did ballet growing up for 14 years. From the age of 4 until 18, I performed, and I would dance on stages double the size of this, and I loved the limelight. I had no issue, and I was very confident as a child. So I thought going on stage to speak, no problem. I'm naturally a talker, it's gonna be a piece of cake. I got on stage, and I'm sitting here, and the moderator asks me, Jahaina, and she goes ahead with her question. And I look at her, and I am completely blank. Nothing. I can't articulate my thoughts. My hands got really clammy, And I genuinely struggled to answer a question. So then the little voice in my head said, Jaheina, put a few words together and get this over with. Come on, come on. And in the front row, I had my boss looking directly at me on top of everything. So I said, okay, I've strung a few words together. I did not do as well. And remember, I'm not used to feeling incompetent because it's been a couple years since I was in high school now. So I get off stage, I don't get the best review from my boss, and I make the decision, public speaking isn't for me, thank you, no thank you. Somebody else can represent us in a few years' time. 2 years later, my mentor, the Women in Aviation president for the Middle East chapter, reached out to me, Ms. Mirvat Sultan. She said, Jaheina, I would like you to host a conference for me. You want me to host a conference? I respectfully declined, thank you very much, and I told her about my negative experience. Thank you. And she said to me, Jaheina, you have a thing and you have all this potential. Now remember in school I was told about potential, that's a trauma word. So I said, okay, fine, I respect you too much, I accept, I will look for a public speaking coach. Barrier, solution. And around the same time, I was fangirling over this Instagram page called Top of Her Game, where they showcase women within the region that are absolutely killing it in their careers and doing so well. So I sent a DM and I said, how can we promote more women in aviation and collaborate? I got on the phone, and the lady's name was Christina, and she said to me, we came up with a lot of plans, actually. And I asked her, since both of us are talkers, so what is it that you do for a living? And she said to me that she's a training expert, specifically in public speaking. Thank you, universe. So I asked her if she has the ability to accommodate me and train me, as I have a massive conference, and she agreed. Amazing. She wasn't in the country, so we did everything on Zoom. And in our first session, I told her about everything that happened to me, and she turns to me and says that I have a problem managing stress and nerves. I'm an air traffic control officer. It is my job to control airplanes in the sky, and she's telling me that I can't handle stress. All right, okay. So she taught me how to take these nerves and turn them into fuel on stage, and I had a personal proposition made and all of that, and I'm sure all the public speakers here know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. I go on stage, and as the gentleman earlier had mentioned that his legs were shaking, oh my God, I'm so happy the podium was not see-through like this one, because I was shaking so much and it was the worst feeling ever. I get through the first speech, and there was a very important sheikh that I had to mention, and I was praying to God, I just get his name right, that's it. After that, the event went really well, and what I did afterwards was I posted a video on LinkedIn, not more than 10 seconds, of a short snippet where I quoted yet another mentor of mine. She's the first Emirati female aircraft engineer, Dr. Engineer Saad Al-Shamsi, where I said that the words she mentioned on stage resonated with me. And I said, if you can dream it, you can do it, and to push for your dreams. And that I am an example of what hard work looks like and it paying off. This video went absolutely viral. And then Dubai Air Show directly spoke to me and asked me to be a part of their conference. And I was super excited that I have another chance to redeem myself. So it's been approximately 2 years since my negative experience. So I was corresponding back and forth, and I said, okay, well, what would you like me to do? And they asked me to host the conference. Okay, this time I had my coach, I was ready, and I was super excited to go back and host this conference. I ended up being the first woman in the history of this conference to host and be chairperson. So I managed to redeem myself. So I said, never, right? And I'm going to quote Michael Jordan here, hence my flashcard. Never say never, because limits, like fears, are often just an illusion. Barriers, indeed, are just an illusion. And this is the lesson that I learned from this experience. So, I was in school, I didn't do well, I let the family distract me from my education, and I genuinely didn't know what I wanted to do. I eventually figured it out. Didn't know what it is that I was going to do with life, but I wanted to be independent. So I took the steps, I got many rejections. I'll highlight that because it was not an easy journey. And then afterwards, with my wake-up call with the family, I ended up pushing and being part of only 1% of the applicants worldwide to ever make it through into an air traffic control program. After making it through, the fail rate is over 70%. I pushed through, I made it, alhamdulillah. Afterwards, super confident, and I go on stage and I think it's gonna be a piece of cake and I get another reality check. You're not that good at public speaking. Okay. I worked on it, I got a coach, and now I'm here standing in front of all of you. And I'm not gonna lie, my legs buckled a little bit earlier. That's why I avoided the sambusa in the break room. So, I want everybody to take a moment with me right now. What barrier is it that you feel you have in front of you? Think about it, feel it. And I want you to know that I'm an example of overcoming it. Even Mr. Koshi earlier, no one can beat his speech, but he is the best example of how if you push, you can do anything. So, moral of the story, do not be discouraged if you did not end up where you thought you would. You might end up doing things you never dreamed of. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for taking time from your busy schedule to inspire us with your story. Your presence and wise words will leave an everlasting impression on our minds.
Taking a break from words, let's treat our ears to the sound of musical notes. The musicians from the primary school are all set to take charge of us for the next few minutes.
A big round of applause for that fantastic performance. Thank you, boys.
With a great sense of pride, we introduce our second judge for today, Dr. May El Barachi, an Associate Dean of Research, Head of Industry Outreach and Executive Learning at University of Wollongong in Dubai, and computer scientist and smart technology expert with degrees in telecom engineering, computer engineering, and computer science. Dr. El Barachi possesses width and breadth of knowledge in the areas of computer science, IT, and engineering. Thank you, ma'am, for being with us. Kindly accept a token of our appreciation.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you today. It's a very exciting event. I think we spent, an hour and a half going through very exciting and innovative projects, from health monitoring to crop monitoring to smart garbage management and waste management solutions. Amazing ideas. I just want to say to all the students, well done. They're all very creative and very ambitious, and I'm sure that our future is bright with such students who can push the limits and don't shy away from technologies that they are born into. Thank you for having me today.
Moving on towards more inspiring stories, Expressions Phase 2. The first speaker on stage, please welcome Kalyani Ghosh of our own English High School, Sharjah. A student whose interest lies in writing and painting. Oh, and screaming too. Well, don't worry, some of us are too. A round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Chocolate brown. I am the color of the tea Auntie sips while nonchalantly remarking, "You would have been prettier if you were fair." That's right, the color of our skin dictates our beauty, our looks, and even the way we're perceived. Greetings to one and all. I am Kalyani Ghosh of our own English High School, Sharjah. I was born with the chubbiest cheeks and the cutest smile. Yes, I am currently complimenting the baby me, since no one did back then. People were too busy telling my mother how another daughter for the family is a burden, a misfortune. I grew up exposed to colorism mixed with a bit of sexism, a perfect recipe to ruin a child's spirit. I grew up to be dark and thin, extremely thin. The taunts now changed to, "She's so dark, how is she to get married? My God, does your mother even feed you? Child, stay away from the sun." Mind you, I was only in 3rd grade when an auntie told me, no boy would ever like me because boys only like girls that were fair and lovely. Auntie, I don't need such boys. I grew up hating my skin tone. Ever since I hit my teens, I had been slapping my face with fairness creams, and every face wash was a slap in the face because I had a skin tone that was ugly, that was undesirable. But through all this taunting and concerned relatives, I had a wonderful support system. My mother. Every time I was called dark, I would feel disgusted and ask my mother for some turmeric. Yellow paste after yellow paste, because anything was better than dark, anything was better than brown. Only light skin with European features was considered art. My mother would look at me and say, "Child, what matters isn't what you look like or what your skin tone is. What matters is what's up here, what's in your mind." I grew up hating myself. Along with that, I hated the people, the system, for making a 12-year-old despise herself for something she cannot change, for something completely irrelevant. I'd learned to detach myself from people's words, because I am more than just a dark girl. What they said didn't change how well I pen, how well I speak, how much I know, or how much I can do. We live in a society that is constantly picking on us for the way we look, talk, walk, breathe, pretty much everything. But their words affect you only if you let it. It is a barrier only if you make it. We are brown people just of different shades, so there's nothing to be ashamed of. So I say, instead of looking for fair people, let's look for those who treat people fairly. Virtues, beliefs, opinions scale larger than our stand on the fairness scale. We are our minds, our thoughts, our morals, not our complexion, our looks, or our gender, and that is universal truth. So the next time someone offers me advice on my skin tone, I'll say no thank you, forget Snow White, say hello to Chocolate Brown. I'll be writing my own fairy tale. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalyani, for sharing your story with us.
We request all the participants to please adjust their mics so that the audience can hear you clearly. Thank you. Next on stage is Aman Praveen from GEMS Our Own Indian School, an enthusiastic orator who is passionate about music and also plays the keyboard. Welcome, Aman Praveen.
Greetings to the respected teachers, dignitaries, and my fellow students. The biggest barrier I have faced in my life, and what I think I have broken, is deciding on what to talk about today. Our given theme is breaking barriers, so I started asking myself, what are the barriers you have faced in your life? The first thing that came to me is, you're only 14. What kind of barriers do you expect in life? I left that aside and started thinking again about my barriers. My short stature, I guess, but as you can see, I haven't broken that yet. Next, my inhibition in doing any activity with my parents as an audience. Yes, I have broken that barrier slightly, but not completely. Oh yes, another huge barrier that I haven't broken is my procrastination, and I still suffer the drawbacks of it. Then I got to thinking, why are none of my barriers broken? And then it hit me. The nature of barriers depends on the person's perspective. According to me, barriers don't necessarily have to be broken. They can be embraced and can be a learning experience. Let us take an example. As students, all of us, even the greatest toppers, have faced the biggest barrier of exam anxiety. I get haunted by exam anxiety regularly, and I don't think not one of us have broken that barrier. Let us take an example. Back in 7th grade, there was this competition called the Kenkin International Championship, where we had to solve 6 puzzles in the shortest amount of time. We were asked to arrive in the examination hall 25 minutes prior to the exam. I have never felt more anxious in my life than in those 25 minutes. I had no idea how I would solve all the 6 puzzles in the shortest amount of time. I submitted to my anxiety and decided to move on with the exam anyway. At that moment, in my train of thought, a flash of a Mr. Bean episode played through my mind. I let out a small chuckle amidst my anxiety. That episode kept replaying in my mind throughout the exam, helping me through my anxiety. I finished the exam in 10 minutes and 43 seconds. Good enough. Now again, here one may think that I have already broken my barrier of exam anxiety. However, if I had broken that barrier, then I wouldn't be feeling the same anxiety for my exams last month. Rather, I learned from that barrier that whenever I feel anxious before an exam, just think of something funny and go through with the exam. That is how we should view barriers. A learning experience, something that can be embraced and moved on from. As Michael Jordan has said, obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aman.
Speaker next on stage is something of a Formula One fanatic, racing his way through life with big dreams to chase. Up next, we have Adil Abdul Jaleel from Our Own High School, Dubai.
I will be honest, I haven't really broken any sort of barrier that is worth speaking of. Yes, I have overcome those parking barriers, actually helped my dad break them by swiping the access card. But here's the thing, when I listen to these famous figures' speeches, you know, the motivational ones, there's a feeling inside of me. Wow, I really am nothing. Because when you hear their childhood stories and how many hardships they had to face, and ironically, you're listening to them in an air-conditioned room, sipping on some freshly brewed coffee like a sloth, I realize I have done nothing in my life, nothing innovative or something worth a mention. But then I realized that is not what breaking barriers is about. It isn't about showing the world what you have done. It isn't about being a freedom struggle. It shouldn't necessarily be in a setting where you're the unfortunate, the poor. It's all about breaking those mental barriers that obstruct you from the final destination, the goal. In that case, we all have broken barriers in some way or another. As a little child, I wasn't as confident as I am now. Back when I was younger, my actions and opinions were based on others' perception. But just one day, I guess my brain took a U-turn. It told me, who cares? Let them think what they want to. You are you, and you be you. And that's what I followed ever since. Those were a few barriers broken. But here's one thing that hasn't changed in me, and that is breaking the chocolate to share. My brother and I have had several choco conflicts over volumetric splitting. I would scrutinize on the splits bit by bit, ensuring that of course I get the major stake, at least 88.5%. Or behind his back, I might just, jack up my shares to 100%. With my parents fed up of being within the impact zones of choco conflicts, have thrown up a challenge. The challenge is inscribed down on a scroll. It reads, "It's your mission should you accept it or not. Here's a box of chocolates, and yes, it's your favorite one indeed. Now, share the whole with the audience and you have none, or you can have it all by yourself." What? No. I have to give all of these without munching it a bit? Or I can keep it all to myself, but that would drown me into an abyss of guilt. Oh wait, I got a counter for that. I know you all are fitness freaks, so I'm helping you by not making you add those calories. No, actually, I am determined. I am going to melt that barrier. I can do this. We must remember, it's a will, not a would, a can, not a could, a should. Anyway, just a minute, the magic wand, abracadabra, kaboom. Look up, see those chocolates hovering? Well, that was a distraction. Now, check under your chair. You might find a chocolate under your seat. It has reached you mystically through the sheer impact of the mammoth barrier that I have just melted. Thank you.
I now invite on stage Mohammad Rayan Kurnool, an orator who would love to indulge his time and energy in different kinds of sports. Please welcome Mohammad Rayan from Delhi Private School, Sharjah.
Ronald Reagan, the 40th US president, once said, "There are no constraints on the human mind, no walls around the human spirit, no barriers to our progress except those we ourselves erect." Good morning to one and all present here. I am not much of a talker, and I'm pretty reserved as a person. In the lower grades, I would get tongue-tied amongst my friends. I used to feel I would say the wrong thing, or I would not be able to add value to the conversation, and thus refrain from socializing much in school. As a result, I was more of a loner, and I had low confidence in myself. I had low confidence in myself, but there is this incident which I would like to share with all of you that helped me overcome my shyness. There was this birthday party that everyone in my building was invited to. There was this birthday party that everyone in my building was invited to. There was this birthday party that everyone in my building was invited to, but I was too conscious of myself. How would I look like, and who would I talk to? My mother noticed my behavior, and we had a conversation about it. Let me tell you, it's easier said than done. Believe me, in front of the mirror, I looked, I dressed up, and I felt much more confident. We entered the party, and my knees began to rattle. I thought, no, I can't. Too many people are staring. Later, my friends saw me panic and began a conversation on cricket. I love cricket, and that seemed to work well for me. So, friends, I believe there are 4 tools which help me overcome my shyness. First, there must be preparation. The hard work of building capabilities cannot be ignored. Second, character plays a role. The integrity and values that are put into action by the person allows them to deal more effectively with the resistance that is inevitable. Third, a barrier, a breaker, must have something special, something to offer, such as a talent or perspective. And fourth, we must make an effort to seize opportunities that come and make most of them. I leave you with a quote for thought. Always remember, you are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. Thank you.
Thank you, Rayan. That truly was an inspiring tale. Our next speaker is Naziba Binte Habib, currently a PCMB student at GEMS Aaron Indian School, Dubai, and a lover of art. Naziba considers herself to be a proud procrastinator. Don't worry, we all can relate. But nonetheless, she always makes time for her talkative discussions with her friends. Welcome aboard, Naziba.
Greetings to everyone present here. Breaking barriers is a heroic term that sounds pleasant to the ears, but weighs heavily on our hearts and minds. We all have barriers to break down. Countries with their tax barriers, society with their inclusion barriers, communication barriers, and gender inequalities, etc. Many more on the list. Guilty. In a world that constantly holds people to exacting standards, our mindsets have become a barrier to acceptance. Well, for me, it was accepting my body that is accessorized with an Asian melanin, some extra ounces and inches, and an auspiciously big, wide forehead. Now let me ask you a question. Have you ever been told you're beautiful, even though you're fat or skinny? Insert a deep sigh. You might have heard this statement from body positivity activists, your relatives in weddings, or influencers. Many people impulsively find this statement uplifting, but once you ponder upon it, the tube lights tinker. The term even though here makes different body shapes an exception to the ideal one, rather than removing the superficial standards that we hold for ourselves. This brings us to body shaming. Body shaming has been prevalent throughout history, but has been relegated or dismissed to the background. Cyberbullying, calling names, giving suggestions without consent, giving the looks, has made all of us feel accountable or guilty. Apart from the social media call-out, several avant-garde artists have pointed out the obvious harm of body shaming. Now, let me talk about body positivity and body neutrality. I welcome these two movements as catalysts of change in my perspective and ideals. Body positivity, quite a common term, plastered everywhere, especially where insecurities are marketed. This movement is losing its meaning and momentum for what it was aimed at. Now it mainly focuses on remaining satisfied or happy with the physical appearance of a person, regardless of their health. Hence, I drew back the curtains and welcomed body neutrality. Body neutrality steers away the link between physical appearance and self-worth. I practice body neutrality by acknowledging the remarkable abilities of my body and its physical, non-physical characteristics. For instance, my stubby legs carry me up the school stairs till the second floor, despite the fuss I make. And these flabby arms are known for their therapeutic hugs. In conclusion, both body positivity and body neutrality induced an inclusive and positive mindset within me. And my barriers have dissipated with the help of my mother's positive words and diva attitude, mind you for that,
and my father's affectionate embraces that reminded me, hey, the therapeutic hugs might be a genetic characteristic here. And my sister's death stare, which I'm still learning to use as my shield. Although some arrogant rubble remain at the surface, I got to see the sunshine and rainbow that rose above. It's there. And if I were to correct a statement and proudly proclaim, I would say that I'm unapologetically beautiful, just like all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nazira. I invite next Chris follows from our own English high school, Sharjah Boys. Playing chess and dabbling in pop culture forms a major chunk of Chris's activities during leisure time. He aspires to be a medicine professional. We shall now listen to you, Chris.
How does one become a butterfly? You must want to become a butterfly so much that you're willing to give up being a caterpillar. I wonder many a time, why or when did that young fellow bustling with vigor and enthusiasm withdraw? The stage was my world, but I retreated into a cobweb of anonymity and reticence. Did someone bruise my self-confidence in those nascent years? Or was I stung by the words whom I considered near and dear? Words can be hurtful and can leave us feeling powerless and vulnerable. In time, people's perceptions of us can actually begin to shape one's belief. The pandemic proved to be truly a positive time for self-reflection, a journey of introspection within the confines of my room. These are the priceless lessons learned from behind the mask. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Becoming truly aware of my own attributes, strengths, and vulnerabilities, I compete with myself to be a better version of me daily. Recognizing the inner critic is indeed the first step in overcoming fear and self-doubt. You are you. Nobody else is you. And that is your power to pursue your dreams passionately and with all your heart. Acknowledging and celebrating what I'm good at, and not being afraid to own up to things I'm not. And when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. What a powerful and phenomenal statement from the bestseller, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. The world may mock, criticize, but if you think big and listen to your heart, the universe will always reward you. As I stand here today, this is my step in breaking my own barriers. My younger self beckons.
That was amazing, Chris. Thank you.
Up next, we have our final speaker for the expressions category. An enthusiastic speaker from the Millennium School, Dubai, Shreya Shivaram. She is a former recipient of the Sheikh Hamdan Award and is also the Vice President Education of the Emirates Gavel Club. We would now like to invite Shreya Shivaram to share her inspiring story.
Once you become fearless, your life becomes limitless. A very good day to one and all present here. Fear. One of the most natural yet crippling emotions we all possess. And every time it creeps its way into our lives, we unconsciously build barriers to protect ourselves. I remember how I built one of my first barriers. Around the age of 6, I was introduced to a group of children, all slightly older than me. And they would engage in conversations that a 6-year-old couldn't really chime her way into. I was never a shy child, but around those children, I found myself being completely quiet, having nothing to say. And just like that, the first brick of a barrier was placed that would change me as a person. I was spoiled with having the comfort of being in the same school for years together, had friends from day one. Moreover, after my first experience of feeling left out, My fear inhibited me from making new friends easily. And it was rather ironic. For a girl that could speak on stage in front of hundreds of people without hesitation, I would be hysterical when it came to talking to one new person. However, the day finally came when I had to change my ways, when some of my closest friends left the school. I reluctantly decided to strike up a conversation with someone new. 5 minutes into the conversation, and I realized I had plenty in common with this stranger. An hour into the conversation, and I had made a new friend. With this revelation, I wondered how many other fascinating people were out there, and how many times my fear stopped me from befriending them. And just like that, I had made my first blow into the barrier that was my fear. In an attempt to change myself for the better, I joined the Emirates Gavel Club, a club aimed at improving one's public speaking skills and a place to meet a plethora of new people. To this day, I remember how nervous I was entering the room, but I didn't let that stop me from talking to prospective new friends. 2 years later, and I'm now the Vice President Education of the club that made me realize how much I enjoy meeting new people. My boundary of reclusion finally broke down, and that has made all the difference. I started to say yes more, made more exhilarating memories, got to make some of the best of friends, and even changed schools this year, which has brought me the opportunity to share my story with all of you today. It's only once you break those barriers, you rediscover the person you were before any fear changed you. So let me remind you once more. Once you become fearless, your life becomes limitless. Thank you.
Thank you, Shreya. It's a delight to bring you more. Ready to enthrall you is a junior choir on their musical instruments with a feet tapping number.
A big round of applause for that energetic performance. Thank you, boys. It was indeed a pleasure to listen to you. We believe that there is a winner in each one of us. Yet, it has been a long wait to choose the best amongst the best. towards the anticipated moment of this day, awards, mementos, and acknowledgements. May I request our Executive Principal, Mr. Sanjeev Jolly, our Principal, Dr. Anjali Murthy, and judges, Dr. May El Barachi and Mr. Farzeen Hasharaf, to join us on the stage to felicitate the award winners.
May we also request Dr. Khan, Dr. Seenat Khan, to join us on stage? Yeah, thank you, ma'am. The prize winners of Novus 2021, the results. From the junior wing, out of the 5 participating schools, the teams who have qualified for the winning positions are as follows. We request the schools who come up to claim their awards to come on stage with your entire team and teacher coordinator. Audience, in the second position, we have the Millennium School, Dubai. Well done, all of you. Please come on stage with your teacher coordinator also. Thank you, ma'am, for coming. Please give them a big round of applause. This is really a proud moment. Congrats, Millennium School, Dubai. Keep it up, all of you. And in the first position, we have a tie between GEMS Millennium Sharjah and our own high school, Dubai. Yes, please note that as we are the host school, the trophy for the first place, the prestigious, most looked forward to, the best amongst the best position is awarded for the junior category of Novus 2021 to GEMS Millennium School, Sharjah. Please put your hands together for them. We request the team to come on stage with your teacher coordinator, please. We are happy for you and congrats. Well done. Can we call our school also to be? Can we call our own high school for a photographing unit? Sir, we have a humble request. Can we call our school for a picture on stage to honor the winners? Yes, the Novus team for our own high school, from our own high school. Please be on stage. We are proud of you. A big round of applause for the 2 schools. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, students from our own high school, and thank you, students from GEMS Millennium. It's time for the seniors to claim their awards. From the senior wing of the participating schools, out of the 4 participating schools, we are happy to announce the first 3 positions. I request the audience to kindly contain your enthusiasm until the positions are read out, followed by the winners going on stage. So let me give you the list. In the 3rd position, we have our own English High School Girls, Sharjah. In the 2nd position, we have our own Indian High School, Dubai. And in the 1st position, our own High School, Dubai. Please note, thank you. Please note that as we are the host school, the trophy for the first place is awarded to our own Indian High School, Dubai. And now for the limelight. We request the schools who come up to claim their awards to come on stage with your entire team and teacher coordinator. Put your hands together for the 2nd position. The 2nd place amongst the participating school goes to our own English High School Girls, Sharjah. We welcome the school on stage. That's good going, girls. Please bring your teacher coordinator as well.
So much enthusiasm.
Just writing. I can't manage writing and then immediately and then speaking.
Still good.
All of them can go down, then come. And we have to be a little quick because those codes will take some time.
And the most coveted position, the 1st place amongst the senior students of the participating schools, goes to our own Indian High School, Dubai. We welcome the winners on stage. Apologies if I was heard wrong, I'm sorry. We would also like to have on stage the team from our own high school, Dubai. The senior team from our own high school, Dubai. You can please ascend the stage with your teacher coordinator. Congratulations, boys. Congratulations to all the prize winners, and we would like to extend a heartfelt gratitude to all the schools. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. And thank you, judges, for doing us the honors.
Moving on, we wish to appreciate the presence and contribution of all the participating schools whose inspiring ideas and futuristic innovations shaped the success of Inspire 2021. Please note that it's a humble request to all the participating schools to kindly bring your entire team for all the 3 categories and the teacher in charge to receive your mementos. I repeat, all teams shall ascend the stage for receiving your mementos with your entire team for all the categories and the teacher in charge. With a sense of pride, we would like to inform you that the memento in appreciation of every team's efforts is designed by our alumni Yogesh Mata, who is currently studying in Purdue University for engineering. May I request our Vice Principal, Mrs. Shanta Vishwanathan, and Ms. Bindu Manoj Kumar, Supervisor Teaching and Learning, the LSDP Facilitator, and Inspire 2021 Coordinator, to kindly ascend the stage and extend the mementos to our participants. Delhi Private School, Sharjah.
Request the students to go on stage with your teacher coordinator as well. Delhi Private School, Sharjah.
Thank you. We next have GEMS Millennium School, Sharjah. Thank you. Up next, GEMS New Millennium School. Thank you, team. Next up, GEMS Aaron English High School, Dubai. Thank you, team. Up next, Aaron Indian School. Thank you, team. We next have Leaders Private School, Sharjah. Thank you, team. Thank you, Shanta ma'am and Bindu ma'am, for doing the honors. May I request Dr. Zeenat Khan, a moderator for the forum, Mrs. Zainu Matthews, supervisor, Mrs. Zainu Matthews, supervised data analyst and NOS coordinator, and Mr. Herman Gomes, head of middle school, to kindly come on stage and hand over the mementos. We have our own English high school, Sharjah Girls. Thank you, team. Up next, we have our own English high school, Sharjah Boys. Thank you, team. We next have our own high school, Dubai. Thank you, team. We now have the Millennium School. Thank you, team. Finally, we have Delhi Private School, Dubai. Thank you.
Thank you to all the participating schools. Thank you, sir. May we request Dr. Zeenat Khan to say a few words to us.
Hi, everyone. I won't take a long time. I wanted to say this on stage, but I didn't want to detract from the time. So I talked about opportunity and how it's amazing if you have the opportunity, but what happens if you don't have it and how to create it? And this is where I wanted to share the story up there. So I grew up in Dubai Zoo. Literally, we had a house inside the zoo. My dad was the head, so we were the wild children in school. So you can imagine the kind of bullying and kind of ragging that happened all through my school years and then into university. Well, my brothers chose to kind of shun away from it and not really associate with it. I really embraced it to the point where I wrote a children's book. And now there's 4 more books that are coming in about 2 children growing up in the zoo having the power to talk to animals. All fictitious, but based on really true stories of us growing in the zoo. That's 1. 2, I happen to be in a field nobody wants to talk about, which is about students cheating. So you can imagine the kind of reception I get when I'm at a conference and I want to talk about students cheating. I started working in this from 2005, and I would be in local conferences where the moment my title would come up, people would get up and leave. And it would be an empty room with just the chair of the session. And they would ask me, what do you want to do? I'd say, I want to present because you accepted my paper. From that to now, we have a Center for Academic Integrity in the UAE that I'm the founding president of. And we've got 7 universities and 3 schools that have come on board. So when you don't have opportunities, don't chuck it out saying, I didn't get it, and that's why I'm not doing really good at whatever I think I could. And I think this school, and I've said it to Bindu ma'am quite a few times, I think you guys are a fine example of breaking barriers. You think about events, you think about performances, you think girls. Right? We talk about female empowerment, but I think this school has really proved it doesn't matter what we are talking about. If the students are in on it, if the teachers are supportive, you can do anything. And I think the level at which the professionalism, all the students showed, all the creativity, all the amazing ways you guys were holding the trays and coming forward and presenting it to the guests, from organizing of the event to the way you guys conducted the event, I think it shows that in itself is a breaking of a barrier. Because in our heads is there, oh, if it's girls, they will do really well. If it's boys, they're not really into all of these nitty-gritty creativity stuff. So I think it goes both ways, and I really wanted to congratulate ma'am here and sir for your amazing inspiration as leaders, and for the teachers and the students for actually outdoing yourselves every year. Love coming back here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for those inspirational words. Thank you for your beautiful thoughts. Our senior leaders are indeed a true inspiration. We take special pride in acknowledging at this very moment that the much appreciated creative initiative titled as the Learning Skills Development Program, also known as LSDP of our own high school worker, owes its origin to the creative genius of our executive principal, Mr. Sanjeev Jolly. And today, as a fitting culmination to this eventful day of inspiring events, we invite our beloved Sanjeev sir to address the gathering.
Good morning, everyone. Rather, good afternoon, everyone. We are coming close to the end, and time is short, so I will just make it quick. First of all, it's time to say thank you to a lot of people this morning, starting from the guests of honor we had this morning, to the judges, to a lot of people within school who made it happen, starting from our principal, and then goes to the LSDP passionate, dedicated leader of the school, Mrs. Bindu Sai Kumar. May I request you to put your hands together for ma'am and for our principal, because the passion with which Mrs. Bindu Kumar leads the school, we as leaders, we have a vision, we share it with others, but someone has to take it forward, and ma'am has done rightly that. 2 years down the line, we as a school have seen amazing students coming here. This platform is here for you to enjoy, to learn from. Last year we had about 35 students, and this year we had 75. Last year we had about 8 schools, and this year we have 11 schools. The event is becoming bigger and better. And this morning, the way the students spoke, I just can say that about 20 years ago or 25 years ago, if we compare those students and today's students, even 5 years ago, today's students were amazing. There's not a single child who cannot be recognized. Well done, well done. Thanks goes out to the principal of your schools, your teachers who mentor you, who prepare you. We just want to say that there is a world of opportunity. Use it well. Thanks go out to the management of the school, to our admin team who made it happen for today, to all the senior teachers who contributed, to our vice principal who very closely worked with Mrs. Bindu Manoj Kumar ma'am and made this day a wonderful day, a memory to remember. This morning we heard people saying, breaking barriers of saying yes, and some saying breaking barriers of saying no. So you can see both sides of the coin are always there. You have to choose. But remember, the opportunity is all around. Use it well. And I like those lines when you say, when you are fearless, you are limitless. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With immense gratitude to the Almighty for this fruitful day spent in the enriching midst of all the creative minds who joined us here, we conclude by wishing everyone here boundless happiness, good health, and everlasting positivity. We hope that you had a memorable day, and we wish to see you all back with us in our next edition of Inspire and Novus. May all your barriers break to unlimited possibilities. Goodbye and good luck. Thank you.